unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
And I get the feeling you've been cheated.
This is a special Majority Report live stream of the Georgia Senate, multiple Georgia Senate runoffs in the state of Georgia for the Senate of the United States of America. I am Sam Seder. This, of course, is the Majority Report. With me, Emma Vigeland. Brendan is also hiding, lurking in the background, and even Kyle is also lurking deep cover, deep state. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I imagine right at this point there is no one else on the stream except for Emma and I. So Let me say hello, Emma. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? You looked completely insidious with your phone light beneath your chin.
That's the way I roll now.
It's an image that haunts me forever.
There you go. Yeah, no, this is, in fact, this is how I intend to do tonight's broadcast. Just sort of like...
Jesus Christ.
Just like this. A little bit scary. It is a little bit scary, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
It's a little too scary. How about something like that, where I highlight just my forehead? Mm-hmm. Basically, I mean, everybody knows what the stakes are here. We're, look... If you're watching the stream right now, you're doing it because you just want to have company. That's basically it. Because I'm going to be honest with you, we don't have any special insight as to what's happening in Georgia. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Emma, but do you?
Well, I happen to think I'm brilliant, but besides that, no.
No, right. I mean, you're brilliant, but you don't necessarily have a special insight into Georgia because we're not in Georgia.
No.
We don't know Georgian politics. And frankly, even, I'm watching Kornacki here and, he can only compare the numbers. We have what we talked about with John from San Antonio today. And I've done a little bit of digging around as well. Right now, 26% in. Ossoff and Warnock, both up 52%. Ossoff is 52.5. Perdue is at 47.5. Loeffler is at 47.2. I mean, it's possible that, let's say, Warnock wins and Ossoff loses. If that's the case, it's going to be by a tiny thread. I don't think but it's 26% in. And we don't know if that 26% represents ballots that have been cast today or ballots that were mailed in earlier. I think there's
I can check the New York Times because they are differentiating in that data, I believe.
Well, there you go. That's what this is all about. I mean,
the needle, right? The needle.
I don't know if I want to hear about the needle, but go ahead.
Has Warnock at +1. Full forecast. I click, I scroll, I look. Yeah. Okay. The all vote types. Warnock, they're expecting is +1 with early voting. Okay, keep talking. I'm trying to figure out this data.
Okay, all right. So the bottom line is, and I think there actually may be like 3 tranches of votes. There is the votes that were taken today. There were the votes that were early votes, and then there's mail-in ballots. And so these are 3 different tranches of votes, I believe. And I don't know how they are going about counting these. Yeah. And so when we say 26% in, it really doesn't mean that much. Or let me rephrase that. It does not necessarily give us an indication of who is in the lead because we don't know what votes those represent. There is at least, I think, a broad conventional understanding that the votes that were cast early are going to trend Democratic in a big way. The votes that were cast today are going to trend Republican in maybe not as big a way, but it is a big way. And the same with the mail-in ballots, I think, are presumably maybe split. I just don't, not sure about that. So that's what we anticipate. But if we can't break down what's what, it's hard to know. But now what we do know,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I can give you the counted and the totals for that.
All right. Well, then go ahead. Let's hear that. There we go.
Okay. So the New York Times says that there have been 50,905 votes counted on election day, and Loeffler is leading, but Warnock is significantly up in the mail-in votes, which are the ones counted according to the New York Times are 546,000 around, and that's around 13% of the vote total, with Warnock plus 46. But with early voting, Loeffler is up significantly. So in the total, with around 1.1 million votes cast, it has Warnock up plus 7.
Okay. So, and that is to be expected. And what's going to happen is this is going to sort of slowly chip away over the course of the night. Now, Baldwin County, this is the one that John from San Antonio told us to watch. Baldwin County in 2020, Joe Biden got 22% of the vote. Donald Trump got 76% of the vote. It was about 100,000 votes that took place there. There is and really the question is that right?
No. Okay. So I'm sorry.
That's
Baldwin County, 42% black. Biden won it only by a single point, and Purdue carried it by about half a point.
Okay, this is a different. I'm sorry, that's a different. I'm looking at a different Baldwin County. That's the problem. That's what I thought. Okay, so I mean, say those numbers again.
So Baldwin County is a county that's 42% black. It's called by Politico the Black Belt, running along the state's midsection from Augusta to the east and Columbus to the west. It's a collection of rural counties with a majority or near majority black populations that people are saying could be decisive in these two runoff races. Trump has traditionally done better than other Republicans in this area with rural white voters and somewhat of an increase with black voters, and Purdue actually did okay here too. 42% black Baldwin County. Biden won it by a single point in 2012. Obama won it by 6 points. And Purdue has won in this county by half a point in the past.
So if Ossoff is up even by a point in Baldwin County, that's a very good sign.
Very good sign.
Now check on Washington County because right now it is 99% in, and Ossoff is up by a point and a half. And so
Which county? I'm sorry?
Washington County.
Okay.
Small county. You're only talking about 10,000, less than 10,000. You're talking really about 8,500 votes. And the difference between the two of them is only 210 votes. But it, again, the idea is that you extrapolate from this. So,
so right now in Washington County,
I'm talking about in November 3rd.
Okay. Then I'll look that up.
All right. And in the meantime, the other one that we're looking at is Cherokee County. And Trump won this plus 40% on November 3rd. So if for whatever reason the Republicans do not run up the tally big time in Cherokee County, they are also in trouble there. And then of course you got to look at Fulton County is the big Democratic county. Putnam, Purdue won by 70%. Putnam County on November 3rd. And there are reports that there are really big turnout today. So
for Washington County, it was carried by the Democrats by 0.3 points in November. 0.3. Warnock is currently up by plus 3.
Wow. And Ossoff is up by 1.5. So they're outpacing at least what they did in Washington County. Is that determinative? No. Is it? Because look, here's the reality, folks. We're not going to get a winner probably tonight. I mean, it's possible, but by we, I mean Emma and I and
Right.
Brendan and Kyle. We're not going to stay on all night because, I mean, look at us. I'm not even really in the set. I know it
I
looks
am.
like you
I'm
are.
in. I am in studio. Like
You're
a
in
real
studio.
professional.
You're far more professional there.
I don't
than
have kids, so that
Well,
helps.
yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true. But I am just I'm really ignoring them, and that's all right. They understand. We talked about the importance of Georgia tonight. Saul wasn't terribly interested.
What
I'm
did
not
Saul
gonna lie.
care? But he was like, "Is that a new Lego set?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like, do you have a Lego set for me? That's his only response to anything. Or can I play a video game? And I was, no. That's it. What, can I watch an iPad? Can I watch YouTube? No.
No.
All right, let's pop up. Let's see what Steve Kornacki's saying at this point.
Who?
Okay, so it
Internet
appears.
famous
Oh, this is
Steve
good.
Kornacki?
Okay, so
There
look
we
at
go.
this. Here's another situation. 83% in. We don't know the numbers, but Ossoff is outpacing Biden a little bit, which is good.
They had, I believe there are probably about 20,000, 15 to 20,000 mail-in ballots as well. We saw the bulk of the mail vote come in early. It's not all of the mail vote. And they said that they potentially would be getting more of the mail-in vote released after 11 p.m. tonight. And if they couldn't get it all done after 11 p.m. tonight, it might be about 8 in the morning tomorrow, the last of it. But there's potentially 15 to 20,000 mail-in votes as well.
20%.
So the mail-in vote is heavily, I mean, this is a Democratic county, but it's the most Democratic vote you're going to get, the mail-in vote. So I think you got a mix of really friendly Democratic votes left and some more Republican-friendly, relatively speaking, votes left. In other words, if Democrats are at 83% right now in Fulton County, and the name of the game for them in Fulton County is to beat the Biden number, there's a chance they're going to beat the Biden number in Fulton County. And that's doubly impressive if they're able to do that, because we say Biden got 72.6% of the vote in Fulton County back in November. What did John Ossoff get in Fulton County back in November? John Ossoff got under 70% of the vote.
Wow,
He
that's
got
good.
69.7%
Really good.
in Fulton County back in November. So Ossoff right now has not only brought himself up to the Biden level, he's running north of the Biden level, and Warnock in the other Senate race is running north of the Ossoff level right now. Let's see. I don't know the exact mix, the exact composition of the vote to come, but I think, given what I know about the mail-in votes that are still to come and how Democratic those mail-in votes are going to be, there's the potential here for Democrats to beat that number in the biggest county in the state.
Well, that is.
It's Joy. I have a quick question for you. So I'm texting furiously with folks in Georgia.
Incidentally, I am too.
Oh, yeah, me too. Right.
And
Journalism.
This is one of those counties. You keep talking about these suburban counties that are around Atlanta, and this is a majority black county. It's South Atlanta.
Who sent out that text message? Was that you, Kyle? We just promoted the show with. We don't know.
I write those.
Oh, nice, Brendan. We don't know Georgian politics. You want company political analyst Sam Seder. Well done.
Yeah, Brendan wrote it, and then the system I wrote sends it. So
Wait,
I
what?
wrote it.
Sure. So
Can we mute Kornacki for? Or wait, no, we gotta watch this.
Oh, it's okay.
Percent of the vote. And again, this is as overwhelmingly Democratic as you're going to get in the state. Here's the Biden.
Wow.
number in Clayton
That's
County.
69%. So that's a little bit tougher to extrapolate from, because again, your day of voting is tending to be Republican.
That put
Yeah.
Biden over Trump statewide.
But
So again, the
this
target
means
here
that
for
they made
Democrats
progress on
in
the
Clayton
mail-in
County is
ballots,
85%.
which we're seeing from the New York
Warnock is
Times
4
numbers
points
as
over
well.
that
So
right
a
now.
red mirage
Ossoff
situation
also
is
running
less
4 points
likely.
over that. And there's a question
That's
about
interesting. That's a good
Democrats
point,
on the spot.
because
Do we know the
presumably,
composition roughly
well, no, does that mean that they did better than the mail-in ballots? Not necessarily, right? Because at the end, we could see this balance out.
Right, but I just mean that like there was potential and discussion that if there was a surge of mail-in ballots that were unable, or early voting that hadn't been counted yet, that it could appear like the Republicans had more of a lead because of the same situation we saw on election night, because they're all in-person voting.
Right. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me read some IMs here as we go through this. I mean, we're basically just waiting. And Brendan, I hope if you have something that you think is relevant that pops up, if you start seeing some numbers like, something, 70%. Wow, look at that. Henry County. There's one right there. 70% in. Warnock is 6 or 7 points ahead of where of Biden was. But again, it's tough to know what, making up, when you're talking about these type of numbers, making up 5 or 6, 7 percentage points over the course of the next 30% of votes, that's really not, that's doable, and so we need to wait and see a little bit. But let me read some IMs, although let's see what Andrew Cuomo is. Yeah, good. Cuomo is getting some grief, which is good. This is good. He deserves it, frankly. He really does deserve it. And I hope he caves and allows like the counties to start handing out the vaccines, because they've been trained to do it. But putting that aside, let's read some IMs for a moment, and we'll get in on this. Kyle, stop the steal. Stop the steal. Okay, Kyle, we're not doing the steal.
I'm very against stealing.
All right. Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Sam's Forsaken Timbies. What would it take for Georgia to implement ranked choice voting for instantaneous runoffs? They would probably need a referendum to implement ranked choice voting, I would say. Are they counting the mail-in today, or do we have to wait up a few weeks for full results? No, I think it's starting to feel possible that we're going to get a tally tonight. And it's really just a question of one of those things that it's going to be less about counting extant ballots, because as far as I can tell, they're coming in much quicker than they did during the general election. I think they have worked it out, but it is possible that things are so close that they may need to do a recount or something like that. But I don't think this is a situation where we're going to be waiting till next Monday. I think we're going to know who won this, barring such a close result that there needs to be extended recounts. I think we're going to know who won this by maybe end of day tomorrow, if not tonight, which should make the crap show that's going to happen tomorrow that much crazier. Yeah. I can tell you that I said on the program today, I need to listen to Mark Levin, and I did listen to a little Mark Levin tonight. And he is, he was arguing that, of course, our founding fathers, he spent a lot of time reading Madison recently, last night, apparently. Our founding fathers wanted the senators to look very carefully at the electors and not just rubber stamp it. And so this is not just in his words, just a rubber stamp. Silver ball stud. We rockin' the Allman Brothers band at our house, though. Okay, great. I'm happy about that. Chris from Taiwan. That needle can eat my whole ass.
Oh. Mm-hmm. When you're done, I have an update.
Well, no, go.
Okay, cool.
You got to break in with an update. Do you not have an iPhone with the breaking news update?
It's not really breaking news. I just feel like, I wanted to punctuate the IMs with some Georgia shit.
Yeah,
okay?
No, do.
Dave Wasserman saying Washington County, rural central Georgia, racially polarized, looks fully reported. Warnock +3, Ossoff +2.4. Biden was at +0.7 in November.
Wow.
And turnout is at 90.6% of November levels. These are great numbers for both Dems.
And Purdue, I believe, won it in November. Won Washington County in his race.
Wow.
Yep. That's bad. That's like, here we go.
I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see if I can get shoot. I was trying to see if I could get some type of like sting sound that I could just, randomly get on my phone. I got to get a soundboard back on this thing. I used to have one, but yeah.
How many of the IKEA panels do you have? Like you got a lot of in.
This is not really an IKEA panel.
Oh wow!
Does that look like a real IKEA panel?
I thought it might be. I mean, we're on Zoom, so it's hard to. Oh, is it a green screen?
No, it's just I like to do this. It's just weird. That's all. It is a green screen. It is in fact a green screen.
Pretty good.
Yeah. No, I let's see. What do I got stored up here? I got this one is the one I'm doing right now, but I could just pop this baby into, or look at me. Aren't you jealous?
I know. Wow. How'd you get to Antigua? Is that how you say it? Antigua.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Antigua. That's right.
Antifa. How'd you get to Antifa during quarantine?
I just flew. It's no problem.
All right.
Let's see here. Jim Bozingo says New York Times site is great right now. Good for us data nerds. There you go. Cirque Salam. The only needle I want is the one that will inject Pfizer 5G tracking nanobots into me.
Cool.
We're starting to see, incidentally, there has been more and more cases of the UK derivation of COVID or variation of COVID, and they are finding it all around this country from people who have apparently no travel history. So it is quite clear that it is all over the place. Hold on. Let me see who this is. They keep calling me. I want to see if this is if this is a prank phone call. We're doing this.
Okay.
Hello? Oh, I think it is. Hello? Yeah, no, they hung up on me. Yeah, I've been
They
getting,
knew who they were messing with, right?
Well,
you have a history of this.
I've been getting a lot of like, we're going to consolidate your credit card debt. And I'm trying to figure out what the scam is. And I think it is. They basically ask you for your credit card. They want to just assure that it's there.
Right.
And I got to come up with a fake credit card number. So that, or I'll just take, one of the members' credit cards. We'll just go into the files. We can get that, Kyle, right? We can get all the credit card numbers and we can just hand them out.
Yeah. Like the billing information.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
We don't store clear text credit cards, guys. That's
such a problem.
You just ruined the joke.
Sorry.
That's all right. At 9 Jets, Andy Pants. Loving it, Sam. I got a whiskey soda water. What's your choice? Me, just Spindrift. There we go. A little Spindrift. I keep it in a glass so that I can also mix some vodka in it. That's what. Sam, you're great at hosting. Your calm demeanor. I can get people to listen to you. Emma, love you as well. Don't laugh at Steve's excitement. LOL. I'm bad at spelling. Why do hippies wear corduroys? Oh, corduroys. Because they're groovy. All right. Apneva. Yeah, Sam, but which tranche is this? Second tranche? Don't know. Attorney Andrew, someone smarter than me out there needs to tell us the name for the type of political thinking that equates politics with projecting what the world would be like if everyone acted like me. I'm going to refrain from trying to name that because I don't think that is going to serve me in the moment. Shore App. It looks like Sam just got off work at some public works job and picked up his grunge daughter Emma from an internet cafe.
I do love flannels. I'm not going to apologize for it. And, when I was 13, I was convinced I was going to get like a Kurt Cobain tattoo. So I don't have any tattoos, but
wow.
The dreams. But then like at 16, I was like, I'm getting, New York Giants, something on like none of these things ever came to fruition, but
Cobain would not have liked the turn that you took.
No, he wouldn't have liked the jock no. Shit.
What are you doing?
Not for him. I know, but I'm still, I'm a lib, so that counts for something.
My daughter wears a lot of the flannel too. She's stealing all my old flannel shirts.
Oh, so she wears the oversized ones with like leggings. Very hip.
Yeah.
Very hip.
Yep. And then the huge what are those boots?
Yeah.
The big, Doc Marten boots. The big ones.
Okay. Well, I'm realizing I dress a lot like Mila.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. I mean, she's basically modeled her style off of you. So so it's a compliment.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how often she's watching the show. Brenda, just keep an eye. And if there's anything particularly dramatic that comes up, ask Joy how 538 got its name.
Who?
Joy Reid, maybe?
Oh, Joy Reid.
She made some comment about why it's called 538, and it was very wrong. I don't remember exactly what though.
Isn't it the Senate and the House? Is it
the electoral votes?
I think
No,
it's
the
all
electoral
the
vote.
yeah.
Electoral
a total
votes.
electoral.
Okay. Chadia Stevens, Sam under contract to watch and promote MSNBC. That's right. That's how we're getting financed tonight, is by promoting Kornacki. I have actually a side deal with Kornacki where every time I put him on the stream, I get a kickback too.
Check his Venmo account, guys. Please.
Okay. Dooley County. It is, too close to call. Oh, and Ossoff is overperforming there too. And Purdue is underperforming. Again, this is like, we're talking about 4,000 votes, but let's put it this way. I have not seen him put up anything on the map that where Ossoff or Warnock is underperforming Biden. Only places that he's overperformed, or only where they're overperforming. And that's 95% in. Now, 50 votes can make a big difference there, but wow, it's in the numbers. They're getting really, really close to, and Loeffler is underperforming there too. They're getting really close, not quite, but close to the general election numbers. I just think it's stunning.
I know.
And remember, that was a huge election.
And to think about who is, of the people that don't turn out, who's more likely not to. I mean, I would have to think the party of Trump. If you're a MAGA guy.
I mean, on one hand, yes, I agree with that, because it's the most obvious answer, right?
Yeah.
Although,
Historically,
there's a, Democrats don't come out for special elections in Georgia. However, this is super important. So, it is what it is.
I mean, I would imagine it must be incredibly energizing to live in a state that's been treated as red, deep red, or at least, solidly red for most of people's lives, to have that kind of political energy injected into the state based on Abrams's run, then Biden's win. I mean, you ride that high, and you start to believe that things are possible that you didn't think were initially possible. And so, I mean, that's just benefits the Democrats significantly. Plus, Trump fucked the Republicans.
Yeah.
He totally, not to be I'm not going to be vulgar about it, but he screwed them. He screwed them from two different ways, right? Because with the checks and with the election rigging stuff. I mean, who knows? There's still a lot of time, but it feels in my gut like this is the actual reality.
It's superstitious, I thought.
Yeah, I am. But it's just a function of my low grade anxiety and not really based in anything I truly believe.
Well, that's right. Otherwise, it would be magical thinking, because you don't. Well,
it's a form of magical thinking, is it not?
Yeah, it is. So, no, absolutely. It's
right.
Just,
it is a manifestation,
dark magic. Here is one instance. I said earlier that I have yet to see an instance where Ossoff is underperforming Biden's numbers. With 93% in Towns County, Purdue is outperforming Trump 93% in. Now, we're talking about a total of 7,500 votes in the general election. In this instance, they could, actually, with 93% in, you could come pretty close to that number, actually, excuse me, it was almost 8,000. So they're just going to be just under it. So it's conceivable this could change, but it's Purdue's getting 80.8%. Trump got 80%. Warnock, Ossoff is getting 19.2%. Biden got 19.4%. So there is an example of Ossoff underperforming a little bit. Again, that is subject to change. And so but I want to just I had said earlier that I hadn't seen a situation like that. And so I wanted to make sure that I articulated it because I saw it.
You want to both sides it.
I want to both sides it.
Because of our contract.
Because it's, I mean, does anybody even know what we're talking about? I don't know. Maybe. Let's go to, let's see. Oh, okay. No. Here's the reason 538 is because 538 was the margin in Florida when the Republicans, SCOTUS, reversed the 2000 election during a recount, making W the president. That's the kind of margin where races can flip. That's not what's up now. While we wait, have you heard about this Jimmy Adore guy? Train boy. Trains are good. I agree. Snoozin' Sarandon, asking the important question, what are we drinking tonight? Majority Report, Zach, who's the voter who splits their vote in the Senate runoff? That's what we were asking earlier. Is there any logic there? Is it just smooth brain nonsense? Also, can you say hi to Twitch? And also, when are you playing Among Us? It's going to take me a while to figure out what Among Us is. I mean, how to play it. I mean, Mila's explained it to me. She's super excited about it, but
what is it?
It's a video game, like a sim,
Oh, nice.
You're walking around in there and you're looking, trying to figure out who the murderer is.
That's all. I should stay away from that because I'll become unhealthily addicted.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just waiting for at least Mila to get out of the house. When she goes off to college, maybe it's looking like probably. And then when Saul's like old enough, in 2 years, he and I will get a console, and that'll be it. And that'll probably be the last you hear of me.
Father-son Twitch stream.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. Bingo.
I mean, how much money will you make?
Saul does not like to be on camera. It's a little bit disappointing. Although the other day he did come up and he did do a joke, and then he did like a quick turn and stomp off. And then he came up and he said, all right, let's do another one. So I'm getting a little bit encouraged. So hi, Twitch. Thank you guys for joining us. Much appreciated. Who is the voter who splits their vote in the Senate runoff? We were talking about this before, right? I mean, it sounds like a completely bizarre thing to do, but there is a segment of the population, and I think it's getting smaller, frankly, who does not look at this as a Democrat or a Republican choice. They're looking at the individuals, and they're saying, like, I don't like Kelly Loeffler. Maybe they're saying that
That's
because
not to like. I mean, but yes. Okay. So yes, she has no charisma. Yes, she wasn't actually elected by them. So that's like 2 strikes against her. Also, let's be real. She's a woman. That does sway enough people. And they could just vote for one senator and leave the other one blank. Like, I like David Perdue. I don't know about this Loeffler. I'm leaving the other, I'm abstaining from the other part of the ballot.
right.
But I don't think that's a significant enough portion based on the numbers that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, and
right now they're up.
Yeah.
Sam. They're right
No,
now.
you go ahead.
New York Times has them both up +8 with 46% reporting. Both
just looking down the list of counties here on the New York Times breakdown, Purdue seems to be underperforming from November in just about every county so far.
Well, again, we're going to see as the night goes on, I think the rate in which the Republicans gain votes is going to go up. Right?
Yes.
I mean, I think that's my understanding anyways. So
in terms of the counties counted, like a lot of them are there's a high proportion of votes counted in the counties surrounding Atlanta. And in Richmond County, where Augusta is, in Athens County or in Clark County, which surrounds Athens as well. So like they are fairly quickly reporting, it seems like, the more urban areas. So that could, the Democrats have to rack up enough of a lead for the rest of the counties being reported to not matter. Right. I mean, that's the general story. So now I'm looking at the pictures of all of them that they're putting up there, and they're all still smiling, everybody. So, but I think this is going to get much closer. There's no way that Ossoff and Warnock are going to win by 5 or 6 percentage points. This is going to be one of those things where they win by a point or by 0.8%. If they win, exactly. Let's go back to the IMs. We would take phone calls, but I don't have the ability to take phone calls here. Scooney, it's 1:20 a.m. in the UK, and I can't sleep. Silver lining is I get to listen to you beautiful people. Be less interesting so I can fall asleep, please. Scooney, that's the nicest thing that probably anyone has said to me in at least months, maybe years. So go to bed, Scooney, or don't stay up for another 4 minutes. Go
Do you
crazy.
have work tomorrow? Eric Burgos, thank you so much, you guys. Infinite love from Nashville, rooting for the crew in Georgia. Indeed. Aid Anadal. What about the Public Service Commissioner race as well? Daniel Blackman versus Bubba McDonald. I am not familiar with that race, and I apologize. Maybe I should be, but this one is significantly more important, I think. Now, maybe I can't get this thing to. I cannot figure out how YouTube TV decides like when they're going to put up their little filter. Have you figured that out, Brendan? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. It's fairly inconsistent, I would say. I don't know. I think they try to make it look nice, and it does the
exact opposite. You put your cursor anywhere near there, all of a sudden it comes with the overlay. It's really, really okay. So Clay County, this is another one, 99% in. We're talking literally 1,400 votes total, but Ossoff overperforming a little bit by 0.5%. Ossoff overperforming in Early County. Again, we're talking about 5,000 votes, maybe a little bit less. Ossoff slightly overperforming. Purdue slightly underperforming Trump. So these are good things.
But, 538 is saying that Purdue and Loeffler are outperforming Trump in Republican-leaning counties. So I have no idea what that means, but.
I'm not, Kornacki hasn't put it up. So I am definitely more of a Kornacki than Nate Smith, Nate Silver guy. But of course, that's what they pay me for. So
obviously. But flipping Washington County from Purdue to Ossoff is significant.
Yeah.
Purdue carried it by 1.7% in November. Ossoff carries it by 2.4% today, a net swing of 4.1%.
In Mitchell County, 95% in, and Purdue's almost underperforming Trump by 2 percentage points. Ossoff overperforming Biden by more than 2 percentage points.
There are so many counties in Georgia.
It is.
I know.
They are so tiny. They're like precincts. Like there are more people who will vote at a polling station in any given polling station at my daughter's elementary school than are in half of these counties that they're talking about. But, different strokes. Anarcho PMC. Are we just going to let Gary Chambers off the hook for not getting us Medicare for all because he, quote, hasn't been elected yet? That's like the classic excuse, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a congressperson yet. Off topic from the runoff tonight, but can you get Gary Chambers and or Lee Carter on the show to discuss their newly launched campaigns? I'd be interested in something like that. What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, I think that's certainly, in the cards.
Yeah, we generally have not done candidates on this show for the most part over the years. And obviously, I think people know when they watch the show, I also stay away from politicians. But people are starting to offer up politicians. There may be some I bring on. I got offered a politician the other day. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of their politics, I think, particularly their ideological bent, but I like their partisanship. So we'll tell you guys.
Tell me later.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to. Flair Child, small bets against the Democrats being competent on Predict It, not looking to pan out for me. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, look, this Georgia win is hugely important, but at the same time, I don't think that from a legislative perspective, it's going to be as relevant as it is from a judge's perspective, from an investigations perspective, from an oversight perspective, and from just a recovery from the COVID perspective. Those are going to be the primary things. From a legislative perspective, it's going to be extremely frustrating. The upshot is that because, and I've said this on the show today, and I'm going to reiterate it probably for the next 4 or 5 weeks. When the news is not dominated by the Republicans, rejecting the education secretary, rejecting the labor secretary, rejecting the health and human services secretary, whatever it is. If those things pass through, there's going to have to be something that is going to dominate the news, and it's going to give the opportunity for the left to agitate and to fight. I mean, and it is good terrain for the fights that we want to have. And that's the best thing I can say about it, including those judges. If Insulindia fast mid, I don't know what that. I know it. Insulin Dian Phasmid. If both Warnock and Ossoff win tonight, how much do you guys blame the Republican effort to discredit the presidential election and gaining a victory? I mean, I don't blame it that much, but I mean, I think it has to contribute on some level. Hold on for 1 second. Let's see what we got here. Hello? It's who? Who's this? Shoot.
It's one of the automated ones.
Yes, it's one of the automated ones, really. And she said, hey, it's somebody.
The first heavily Democratic rural county, Mason County or Macon County.
Yeah.
It's a C. Fully reporting. Ossoff plus 25, Warnock plus 25.6. Biden was plus 21.3 in November.
Wow.
And turnout is at 91.8 of November levels, possibly the single best piece of data for the Dems yet.
Wow, that's great. That's a great sign. That's a great sign. I mean, let's put it this way. We just got asked how much the discrediting of the presidential election and gaining victory. In a county like that, which is a heavily Democratic county, and you see the Democrats outperform with almost the same number of people showing up, it's almost impossible to disaggregate what's going on there, right? Because you don't know if the Democrats are overperforming. And that makes up the difference, because the idea that you would get 100% of a general election is almost impossible to imagine, right? And the idea that you can get that close, that you're in the deep into the 90s. that means that Democrats came out maybe in the same numbers that they did, which is sort of extraordinary, and Republicans didn't. It's hard to know that Republicans would have, but for the presidential thing. I mean, it's going to be hard to disaggregate. I think we're just going to have to live with the idea that, yes, of course it impacted it. It's just very, very difficult to sort of like get a sense, because, you know, even your exit polling will give you no indication of why people stayed at home. And, you know, if I was a political scientist and I wanted to write a book or do a PhD thesis, I would probably go down to Georgia, but I probably would have already been there for the past couple of months. I mean, I wouldn't have been, because I wouldn't have thought that far ahead. For me, it's just like, what's 4 feet in front of my face. But if I was that other guy or lady.
I lost you for, like 30
I
seconds ago.
I don't think anybody paid attention to what I said. I'm hoping that nobody did. Let's go into Matt from New Jersey. Sam, what legislation, if any, do you hope from Democrats controlling 2 houses in the executive? I think, honestly, the only thing that they're going to be able to do is a big reconciliation bill that is going to provide for, a lot of stuff under the auspices of a COVID rescue package and, some type of budgeting. There's only so much I think that can be done under reconciliation. And what we should probably do is find somebody who's very well versed in that. I don't have high hopes legislatively for a 51-person Senate, because you will not get rid of the filibuster with that margin. Joe Manchin will not vote to get rid of the filibuster.
No.
And then that's all you need. I mean, I suspect there would be 3 or 4 others who wouldn't do that as well.
But as you mentioned, Sam, right? We can talk about a robust vaccine rollout. We can actually talk about a $15 minimum wage, I think, not right away, but maybe in 2022, going into the November election, something like that. That's a significant legislative goal. And I think we could talk about climate action, but most importantly for the short term, I think we're going to be looking at stimulus that won't be hamstrung by Mitch McConnell. And I think that's the key.
From a legislative perspective.
Yeah. I mean, from a procedural perspective, he will throw the kitchen sink at the rest of the Senate, as will the other Republicans. But
he won't even need to, I think, because it's going to be, there's going to be a Joe Manchin there who's going to be somewhat difficult. And then you'd have to get 10 Republicans on board for anything you're talking about. I mean, and just to be clear, let me explain what reconciliation is.
Yeah.
It is a mechanism, and I think it was Robert Byrd. I don't know exactly how it was set up, or the full history escapes me for the moment, but there is basically a 1 or 2 bites at the apple, and you have to set it up in advance at the beginning and at the end of a session through a series of like parliamentary procedures, where you can have a vote that requires only a simple majority. It is a privileged, essentially, bill, and the things in it have to be exclusively things that involve the government spending or saving money. And so it is limited. So you can't say $15 minimum wage, because that does not involve the government spending any money.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you cannot see that in reconciliation. There was a big debate as to whether you could have done the ACA via reconciliation. And I think if they had been aggressive in the way that they interpreted the results, they could have. Houston County, 71% vote in. Purdue is underperforming Trump by 4%. And Ossoff is overperforming Biden by 5%, 5.5%.
Wow.
So again, 71%. So
I didn't know it was that language. I thought you could kind of finagle almost anything through reconciliation, but I guess $15 minimum wage is too removed from budgetary concerns to actually
doesn't implicate the federal government at all in that respect.
Yep.
But what I'm hoping for is that with the notion of things being tied up, that Biden realizes like they're going to have to deliver material benefits to people. I don't think we're going to see a $50,000 debt relief. Maybe we'll see $20,000 of debt relief. It is. I would like to see $50,000, but $20,000 would be certainly nothing that I have seen.
Decision Desk has. Oh wait, I thought you were done. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's
what we're here for. Come on.
Right, I know. It's just like I gotta find a way to artfully cut you off. You
got to get like one of something like this. The way you cut me off is you get something like
a text that says "shut up."
No, you get son of a bitch. And then I stop talking. Yeah, Emma, you have breaking news?
Okay. Well, I mean, Decision Desk, I think, has a significant percentage update. Right now, there's around over 2.3 million votes cast, with around 55% of estimated votes in. Ossoff is at 51.67% to produce 48.33. Warnock is at 52.04 to 47.96. So, like, Ossoff, it's around a little over 3 points in terms of a differential. And Warnock, though, is ahead of Loeffler by around 5 or 4 point. Or actually, I guess that's closer to 4. But still, that's significant that as the vote tallies are going up, that, yes, the margin is closing in a little bit, but they're still retaining onto some of that lead.
This is interesting that Brendan just sent. I just saw this now. Reported by Astrid Herndon in Georgia. The Trump campaign spreading disinformation in a text to supporters. Quote, "Is it true that voting machines stopped working earlier in Georgia today? Are Dems trying to steal this election?" And, this is going to sound, I think fairly obvious. But it hadn't really occurred to me until late, this afternoon after the show, which was if you're Donald Trump, what is the outcome that you want here? And it seems to me the outcome you want is for the Republicans to lose. Yeah. Because if they win, how do you make the argument that it was stolen from you in Georgia, but the same people who ran this election decided to give it to the Republicans? I mean, deep
state. Only against Trump.
I think I think Trump is, I think he could have been fine with either outcome, because I think he could have done that. Like, this is why I don't trust the Republican Party, he could say at that point. And they were involved in stealing the thing from me. But this, if he really wants to make a push going into tomorrow, and he's still under the illusion that he could win, or is looking to be the kingmaker of the Republican Party going forward, having the Republicans lose and being able to create the same narrative that he created for the general election, it seems to me, is option A. I imagine he has a plan for option B, which is they win, and he says, this is evidence of how, Raffensperger and Kemp, these idiots, screwed me over because I'm too much of an outsider for the Republican Party. Now,
but that's Trump. That's what Trump wants. That's the audience of one, right? Like, the people around him in his campaign don't want that.
I think there are people who are Trumpistas, but yes, I would imagine the Republican Party does not want to lose the Senate because they think, and I think, if you're sane, you realize that Donald Trump is not going to win the presidency, but it's just an interesting dynamic on some level. Looking forward in terms of debilitating the Republican Party, you probably, you could argue that it would be helpful to have Trump actively running against the Republicans, but he still may do that anyways. So I would go for, you want the Senate. I mean, for me, I think people know that if the courts, that I want to secure as many federal, judicial positions as possible. And there's every reason to believe that Biden will have at least one Supreme Court justice to pick. Breyer's seat will be available.
Yeah.
And
so Ossoff just dropped with those numbers by around 81,000 votes, something like that, because Northern Georgia came in apparently. More Republican stronghold. So that's a tale of what's going to come. This race is going to narrow, but the fact that the Trump campaign's panicking like this, I think, does bode well still.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, that came out. That text, I think, came out earlier. So, I mean, that indicates that maybe they're pushing their narrative, and that's
8:30 p.m. 8:30 p.m. So.
Oh, that's when it came out,
according to Ested. So.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Mars in from Chicago. They should stop the count now. Exactly. Stop the count. Stop that count. Pelosi announces additional committee assignments for 117th Congress. Oversight and Reform Committee, AOC, Katie Porter, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush.
Wow. Oh, sorry. Go.
Well, I mean, that committee that's the one they've been sitting on, I think, right? I mean, haven't they been on the Oversight and Reform Committee? It's a good committee. They get to go and question, but a better committee during a Republican administration. The real committee, you wanted energy and commerce, because that's where the Green New Deal would have to come through. That's where Medicare for All would have to come through. And these committee seats do not come up every year. This is not a process that they fill every year.
No.
So
we're talking about committee. All right. So tiny Randolph County in Georgia, which is 59% Black. This is some of the rural majority or close to majority Black counties. These are the things that we need to be paying attention to. According to Dave Wasserman, is at 97% of its November turnout. It's going for Warnock by 13.2 points and Ossoff by 12.8 after going for Biden by 9.2.
Wow.
There is a clear pattern now.
Now, is that a function of Donald Trump saying that it's rigged? I don't think so. I don't think that's what's driving, Democrat. I think it is. I think what's happening in parts of Georgia is this dynamic where success is encouraging more participation. That Biden could win in Georgia is sending a signal to voters who have been sitting on the sidelines saying we can never win anyways. Now, the important thing is that Biden deliver for people in a big way. And frankly, it could be that $2,000. That $2,000 could be just as much of a motivating factor in driving out, Democratic participation as the vote was, stop the steal was, suppressing Republican vote. In fact, I think it might be the latter. Calhoun, Warnock plus 19. In November, it was 13.8. Holy cow, 98% in.
Unreal.
Ossoff plus 18. It was plus 12 in November. Wow, 98% in. That's nuts. I mean, I'm not ready to call this, but vaping goldfish. Sam, when are you tuning the whirlywigs to switch the Dominion votes? I obviously did that a couple of minutes ago after I got off the horn with my peeps at MSNBC who hit the switch. Vaping goldfish, my wife hates you. Can you say hi? Hi.
Can you say Can you ask why she hates Sam? Why would she hate Sam?
I can come up with a lot of reasons. I can come up with a lot of reasons. But you'll notice, Vaping Goldfish's better half, that I did not refer to you as Mrs. Vaping Goldfish. I hope I get some points for that. My ex would get letters from her family. Mrs. First of all, she didn't take my last name, but she would say her name, Nikki, and it's Sam Seder, and I was like, oh my God. And I found letters to my grandmother, and my grandfather, who I never met, was named Sam Seder as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she would get letters, Mrs. Samuel Seder. And it's just like, how, just that it's a couple of generations.
Dehumanizing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Talk about being erased.
Yeah.
It's insane. Barista says, Emma, that plaid looks great.
Thanks. I love
They
it.
did
It's
not
super
spell plaid
comfortable.
correctly, but that's okay.
Well,
there is an I in plaid, ladies and gentlemen.
but I was complimented, so that's all that matters. Jesus.
Orange Julius Caesar salad. I don't know why, but I just love hearing Sam say trench.
I love that too. I never knew I loved it until you said it, but
Are you serious?
yeah, say it again.
Trench?
Just,
Trench.
It's a satisfying word.
As a lesbian woman, I will buy Emma all the flannels she wants. There you go.
Thank you.
Richard Oakes. I usually listen to MR while taking a shower, but it's really weird to be clothed and hear Sam's voice. Well, yeah.
Join the club, man.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you think Brendan and Matt don't go on camera? That's Ty from Tennessee. If both Warnock and Ossoff win, will the Majority Report play my Sam Seder fan cam on the show? I don't know what the fan cam is.
It's like a montage that put to like K-pop of
Oh, is that the thing with
footage of
like
you
the
with
filter on
sparkles.
it too? Like
yeah, they put like, I don't get it, but it's like clips of close up. Please, someone, if you're watching this chat, please make a fan cam. I don't really fully know what it is of Sam. Not if
so it's not a specific.
Chat,
it's a general thing that people.
It's like a meme motif.
Okay.
Yeah. If right. So
motif,
can you please do it of Sam to like some BTS or whatever they use for those videos? It would be amazing.
The Libertarians got Sam's personal phone number. Is that right? How did that happen? I wish Oh, I see what you're talking about. The phone calls. Slapcough. Shout out to Ben Dixon and the Clickety Political Thirst Trap for their work in Georgia. Yes, they did a good job in Georgia. Very good job. Ryan from Michigan. Today is my birthday. A dual win in Georgia would be the greatest present ever. Thank you for keeping me sane over the past several years and inspiring me to join the leadership in my union. Oh, that's awesome.
Happy birthday, Ryan.
Happy birthday, Ryan from Michigan. We need that, Michigan, big time. If I had access to the shofar, of course, I would provide that for you. Ossoff outperforming in, I don't know what county that is. He's got to pull back. Fulton County. Ooh. With 83% in, but that's good.
Well, their lead is significantly down on New York Times, but.
Right. No, I think it's down to like less than like about 2 points, right? Less than a point.
Warnock, 0.61 and Ossoff 0.04.
Whoa.
But basically we have to watch Fulton and DeKalb counties because won by Trump in 2016, Biden in 2020.
Aaron Kleinman is telling us that the GOP is also going to need big day of turnout in Cherokee and Forsyth, the big Exeter areas, in order to.
Where's that? Sorry.
Cherokee, Trump won by 40%, and my understanding is at least at one polling place in Cherokee that MSNBC was out in front of, they reported that they had higher turnout than they had in the general election in Cherokee. So we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. God, I just think they should stop the count right now. I mean, that's what I'm in favor of. Stop the count. I mean, why are they still counting? Well, Uncle Sam, what are your thoughts on Manchin being the 50-50 splitter? I mean,
it sucks.
Yeah, he's going to be horrible. This is where they all want to be. They want to be that person. And there's going to be like 3 or 4 of them who are climbing over each other to be that person. I don't know exactly who it is going to be yet, but they'll be there. Connor from Tampa, after tonight.
Oh,
go ahead.
Warnock's back up plus 1.1. Ossoff back up again, plus 0.35.
Oh, that's good.
Good.
Connor from PA, after tonight, let's remember many states will have local and countywide elections coming this year. Rather than silly arguments, force the vote. Leftists can run for local office like you encouraged to me in 2019, and now I've risen to be chairman of my local party at 24 years old. Grassroots work, left is best. Oh, God, I'm going to find the goddamn shofar for that, Connor. I don't care what I better have it on my phone. How would I not have it on my phone? I'm going to look through that. I got breaking news right in front of me, but I got it. I must have it. Boom. Here we go.
What you got?
Connor, from PA. This is for you, buddy.
And Ryan, too, right? Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, happy birthday. When I did that, my Zooms gave me like a little pop-up notice: set up professional audio and audio settings. I mean, I can only imagine that the vast majority of you, I certainly hope, are thinking to yourselves right now, my God, what kind of loser has these sound drops on his phone that he has from the show?
Do you use them in real life?
Yeah, no, that's exactly, yeah. I do it with the kids. I do it like I'm ordering food. And it's, I use the proper one. Like they'll say like, oh, the credit card didn't go through. And then I'll play the like Mission Impossible or the Perry Mason drop or something. No, How did that happen?
I think that's excellent.
People really enjoy that. They're like, please, sir, can you just give us your credit card number again? Spay F. Before you came on, Kornacki was talking about turnout in one small Republican county was down 23%, but they did say it was a small population county. I mean, it's so hard to, extrapolate with these type of small numbers, but there hasn't been any preliminary numbers that look bad for the Democrats. Let's put it that way. But again, that's what you would expect. Could you guys watch some of Warnock's and Loeffler's ads? They are supposed to be ridiculous.
We have done some of that.
Warnock and Loeffler's ads were ridiculous, as opposed to Ossoff and Perdue's.
No, wait. Yeah, we watched.
I think they went back and forth with all sorts of charges. At least Loeffler did on.
Yeah.
Okay, Baldwin County, and that's a big county. This is a big county. 95% in. There was 85,000 votes cast in 2020. There appears to be close to 67,000, probably going to be at the end of it 70,000, 72,000. And Perdue is underperforming Trump by 1.5 points. And Ossoff is overperforming Biden by a solid 2 points. I mean, so actually 3 points close to. So That's good. It's another indication of good things. AJ. Hey, Sam and crew. I know you've talked about this a lot, but can you explain the vote process for Speaker of the House? I watched Cenk's video on it. I still don't know if I fully understand it. Thanks, and left is best. The rule for the Speaker of the House, let's say there are 430 Congress people who are sat. Like, maybe one person has died. In fact, one did. And 2 or 3 or, haven't figured out the election, whatever. Just call it 430. If they all show up, it goes to the majority. The winner is the person who gets the majority of named votes, because you have an option. You can vote for a person, or you could vote present, which is essentially an abstaining. If you vote present, you are not counted as when they figure out the majority. So it's conceivable if you have, let's say, just for the sake of argument, let's just call it 400 so I can do the math easy. You have 400 and 100 and 210 are Democrats and 190 are Republicans. If 20 of those Democrats vote present, it's 190 to 190. And if 190 vote for Pelosi and 190 vote for McCarthy, they have to vote again. If 21 of those Democrats vote present, then and 190 vote for McCarthy, McCarthy wins. If those Democrats vote for a named person, if let's say that 21 of them voted for, 20 of them voted for, or 19 of them voted for, they are part of the majority. How does this, wait a second. Now I'm getting confused now by doing this, but it's not the people present. It is the majority of the named votes. So you want them, they would have to vote for somebody else, not say present, because present basically cuts down the number of votes that are there. So you still need to get the majority of the votes, and they have to be named candidates. I'm not capable of doing the math right now because it's 9:15 and it's like almost like my bedtime.
So 2 pieces of good news here too. So the New York Times, Brendan sent this, is saying that Rockdale County is the largest thus far to report, and it's completed vote counting. The results there, Democrats are outperforming their November numbers by about 4 percentage points. And then Michael Shore, my old colleague from TYT, who's just such a wonk about this stuff. Yeah, he's great. He is such an awesome guy too, just as a person. He says that the Democratic cities of Savannah, which is Warnock's hometown, and Albany, they are just over 1% in. So there are still Democratic strongholds like that need to be counted.
Albany is interesting because there was a massive, massive early COVID outbreak there in Albany, if I remember correctly. And I wonder how that's going to play.
Whew.
Simple Socialist. Sam, a little off topic, but I tried to call in. I wanted to get this in about the interview today. Namely, that as a socialist, I actually agree with your guest's critique that systemic corruption would exist in any system and are exacerbated by money and markets. It's important to understand that the move towards socialism is not towards utopia or perfectionism. Socialism won't solve every problem. It's just the first necessary step to addressing those systemic problems. Where I get a little bit confused about this is like, at what point do you, and this is a better conversation to have with Jamie and with Matt here, because I think they both have opinions on this and I think they're different, frankly. But this is like sort of almost my point, that it's on a continuum, correct? Like, our guest today was saying that France is not the same capitalist country that the United States is, but it is, in her mind, a capitalist country, even though you have more government involvement in industry, direct involvement in industry. You have more co-ops. You have like a much, much higher rate of taxation, similar, far closer to what we had during the 50s and 60s in this country, the 1950s and 60s. And you have much more socialized medicine. You have, I think, power is largely a public function, power generation. But there's still a mixed economy, and it's really just on a spectrum, right? Like even like the Nordic countries, they have markets. They have private. I mean, they have elements of capitalism. So, I mean, I am in favor of pushing, I guess of what you would say is like social democracy as opposed to democratic socialism. But I'm not even sure I know what, at what point do you cross a threshold of democratic socialism?
So Purdue is now up by 0.52 with 68% reporting.
0.52?
Mm-hmm.
So half a point.
Yeah.
Purdue is up.
Purdue. And Warnock is up by about a fourth of a point.
Yeesh.
Again, though, I haven't seen any bad Democratic data, so.
That's weird, right? I mean, how is that happening if that's the case? I mean, if they're outperforming Biden and presumably the other numbers, I don't know. 7,000 votes, though, out of 67%. I mean, it's just going to be one of those nights.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
So, Baldwin County is pretty much less than 98%. Hold on. DeKalb County only has 35% of vote totals.
Good.
And Fulton County, though, is around 86%. And I'm going to click on that.
What about Baldwin?
Baldwin is just, Baldwin is, it says less than 98% of votes.
It's greater. That's a greater than sign.
That's a greater than? Jesus
Christ. That's great.
Okay.
Because Baldwin is the big, and what is the Baldwin numbers?
It has Warnock up 52% to 48%. But again, like this isn't that many votes.
But wait, if it's not
Purdue versus
Baldwin,
Austin.
Baldwin is
Baldwin
+4. Wait,
okay.
Is that D plus? Okay, and so he's outperforming Baldwin. In Baldwin, he's outperforming by 3.5 percentage points.
And Ossoff's also up.
Baldwin was the one that.
I mean, we need DeKalb County. The more,
and Ossoff is outperforming by 4.5 points.
Yeah. So the thing about it is just that DeKalb, all those numbers are going to come in because they're so heavily populated.
That's great.
And so don't panic, guys.
I think this is going to be good. I'm almost ready to call it.
No.
I think I was ready to call it about an hour and a half ago.
DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Cobb. I can't believe they have a DeKalb and a Cobb County. I'm sorry, Georgia. But DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Cobb are all under 40% reported, and those are huge Democratic counties.
That's great.
Can you say so? DeKalb, Gwinnett, and
Cobb, like salad.
Okay, great, thank you.
Or corn cob.
Or Thai cob. You take your pick.
I pick corn cob.
Or I'm going to hail a cob.
Yeah, that's how New Yorkers say
That's
it.
stretching it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was prepared to call this a half an hour ago. I mean, I frankly, I was prepared to just call it and be wrong.
Wait, what
just
is?
So we don't have to cover it. That's the way I would do it.
What was the third county that you just mentioned? Shit.
Cobb.
No.
Gwinnett.
Gwinnett. Thank you.
How are we doing for numbers? What is Pacman doing? About like 75,000 people on his stream?
A quarter million.
Is he? No.
He has 1 million live right now.
I'd actually believe that.
Sam, you know what? You got to call it right now because we got to get something going here. You'll be the first pundit to call it.
Yes, I call it. Do you think we would juice our numbers?
Yeah, well, if you say I've seen enough, I've called it final answer, then it's locked in.
I've seen enough. I'm about to call it. You can tune in to the stream to see me call it. Wait. That's not it. We should. I want people to go into Pacman's chat and drive people over to ours. I don't know what Pacman's doing, but I'm sure it's not as good as our coverage.
But we can't increase his numbers, right?
Of his viewers.
Is he? Yeah, he's going to stop the steal of our. Penny from New Mexico. Thanks, Sam, Emma, Brendan, Kyle. I've been doing calls for New Georgia Project, and they've got us signed up for the next 3 days to do ballot curing. Interesting. In Georgia, this is, I don't know if it's particularly unique to Georgia, but I don't remember it in other places. If there is a problem with your ballot, if you signed it incorrectly, you spelled something wrong, you have the opportunity to fix it after the fact for, I guess, 3 days. It's to correct mail-in ballots that had a problem like inconsistent signatures. I wonder if that means we won't have a final count until Friday Eve. It really is a function of whether they'll need it or not. Like if there's, if those ballots do not equal the distance, Sam will read anything. Fuck you, San Diego. Yeah, well, I don't know what to say. It's right. Quinn from Minneapolis. Thanks. It's been a blast watching Sam get drunk on all these election nights this cycle. Thanks for cheap entertainment, folks.
I'm dry for this part of January. I'm not even doing full January because I'm.
You really backed off.
I feel like you're wavering. You've diminished your expectations for yourself.
It's not even been a week. It's not even been a week.
12 hours.
I said I was just doing like the first 10 days basically, and yeah, I know. I mean, like, well, watching Sam drink makes me wish I was. Gotta be honest.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I really wish I was wearing a flannel right now. Lawyer Matthew tells me that he is he's on the cure team for Georgia. Pacman is streaming. He wants to connect briefly. Should we do that? How would we do that?
We'd have to give him the Zoom link.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, let's find out how many viewers he has before we do that.
Check the IM.
Check
Sam, you got to go on his show, and then you got to call it. You got to call it right there, then and there, and take it away from him.
Oh my God! Yeah, we should definitely connect with him. He's got a huge number. That's crazy. He's been really working it. Now, if he sent us a Zoom link, how do we do that?
Well, you would have to go through his computer. You would just be on his Zoom call while you're still on our Zoom call. But if he came on our Zoom call.
But how would I do both the Zoom calls simultaneously?
You would be on two different broadcasts at once.
Can I be on two Zoom calls simultaneously?
I don't know that. But you do have two computers set up there, don't you?
I think the easiest way would be for him to join our call.
Yeah.
And then to broadcast his window of us.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. I think he did this before.
I like doing this on the fly.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go.
All right, let's send him a
Trojan
Zoom
horse.
link. Do we know how to contact him? How do we contact him? Oh, here they are again.
Yes. How are you contacting?
I don't know. It's his phone number, but I'm getting a call from the. Hello?
Hey, it's Missy. I'm a nice.
Hi, Missy. Son of a. Why does she keep hanging up on me?
I think you need to talk more. You need to talk like a lot so that they register it.
I think they realize you get really excited for the call you shouldn't get excited for, and they hang up.
Right.
Yeah, they're like, this guy's suspicious.
Oh, hi, Missy. What's up? That's what.
You got to put some of those acting chops
No.
to use.
Okay. All right. So email Pac-Man the link.
Okay.
Oh, so in other words, he's going to get our content, and they're going to come. All right. So we've got to be particularly, on our game, Emma, to bring people over from Pac-Man, steal Pac-Man's stream.
Right. Good call.
Okay. Now I think Brendan, you got to pretend like you're in Georgia. That way we have a correspondent.
Our Georgia correspondent, Brendan,
Yeah.
can you report on anything you're seeing on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of peaches.
A lot of peach pits on the ground. There's boiled peanuts and I don't know.
Just don't say DeKalb.
Amy Fair. Trump doesn't care about judges beyond the power it gave him. He could give a shit about jurisprudence. Oh, without a doubt. Mitch McConnell cares.
Yeah.
Big time. Future reactionary. Waggle waggles with wondrous wisdom. I mean, I don't doubt that. James in Jersey City. It is Trotch.
So Loeffler just took the lead for the first time tonight, but the New York Times still gives Warnock a 75% chance of winning with 70% reporting.
Is that from the Needle, or what is that?
The Needle. Who gives a shit, I guess, but I do think it's relevant.
Macon County. Do we think that the Trump wing election fraud paranoia is impacting GOP turnout? I have a feeling that this is more a story of Democrats outperforming what they normally do for a runoff election. That's what it feels like to me. Bisquapo, you need to bring back the no fucking sellout zone. R.I.P. Michael. What is the no
all right.
We got Pac-Man?
Mm-hmm.
And all right, tell me when is he coming in?
Yep.
And that is our live report from Georgia, from our correspondent on the ground. Thank you very much. And now let's welcome to the program David Pac-Man. David, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you.
We just had a live report from our correspondent in Georgia. Do you have one of those?
Well, yes. I had a whole team there that was canvassing, but I actually was listening to your stream, and I know that you have no one in Georgia. There's not even the remote possibility anyone is in Georgia for you right now. And this is almost as bad as that thing that's been happening on Twitch between you-know-who and that other woman, you know?
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't, your sound's not good. I could not make out anything you just said, David.
I like that we can see the background.
Yeah, now what's going on? Now that's not
the
image that your audience is seeing, because it really is. I'm seeing your entire studio there.
Yeah, I have to send you webcam audio because I can't Zoom with my good camera, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I guess it does make sense, but it is revealing just how dramatic the theft of my backdrop is when we see it in that way. It's looks even more stark.
The only difference is I have improved upon your setup, and I'll tell you exactly how. I am using PVC, and if the PVC were to fall on my head, I'd be fine. And I recall that you used plumbing pipe, 2-inch plumbing pipe, which you could get concussed from that.
Yes, I did get hit on the head from the plumbing pipe when we set it up. And that is true. But everything else is exactly it's shocking in many
Well,
respects.
what about David's spinning globe there? Right, it's very very new age newsy.
That's true. I don't. We don't have one of those. We don't. We decided to eschew that. I will say this: kudos to you for not. What's the?
Oh God.
What's going on now? What like we're falling into some type of?
I just wanted to see what David's setup looked like.
I see.
Brendan, you're creating an infinite loop here.
I am. I'm going to break Zoom and YouTube at once.
That's getting crude.
I will just say this: I want to at least acknowledge the fact that you have not put up a sign that says the Majority Report with Sam Seder in your set. So
that would be too much. That would be too much.
That would be too obvious. So what do you think, David? I mean, we've been sitting here and really basically just comparing numbers from the general election in November.
Yeah.
And relative to where they're performing. And it feels like, the race is extremely close right now. I don't know specifically Cherokee is probably the biggest Republican county as far as I can tell. And I don't know what the numbers are there, but we don't have DeKalb. We don't have Fulton. We don't have Cobb County in yet. And those are going to be the ones that, if they follow suit with the other Democrat, we're going to see big numbers there.
Yep, I agree. I mean, if you just want to say, I just feel like it's sort of fraught at this point because I still just think it's so close, anything could happen. But it is true that if you just say, where were we at this point on election night, it seems like the Democratic candidates, it seems, they're doing better than they were at this point that night. But at this point, I don't know. It's hard to feel confident about anything for me.
I just think, things have swung back based on the northern Georgia counties coming in, a lot of Republican-leaning counties coming in. But as of 10 minutes ago, less than 40% of votes in DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Cobb, which are the counties that are most populated surrounding Atlanta, were counted. So it looks closer than it is right now, or it looks more dire than it is. Because I know Loeffler just took the lead momentarily. But Warnock, it's very likely that Warnock's going to win the race. I'm just going to say that.
I think that's the more likely one. If he loses, they both lose. I think it's pretty clear at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. So Emma, you just made the call after telling me don't make a call.
I did not make a call. I did not say anything definitive.
Sounded like a call.
No. I have to say it's a call first, and I have to say I've seen enough and step all over Dave Wasserman's shoes.
All right, fair enough.
Do you think tomorrow is likely to be crazier or less crazy if we don't know who wins these races by 1 p.m. when Pence gets his dog and pony show going?
Woo. We were just talking about how Sam was saying, and he can elaborate on this, that the Georgia race is going to Democrats helps Trump, not Republicans, but helps Trump and his ridiculous, insane clown show more than if they were to win it.
If the race is not called, I don't think it implicates tomorrow at all, right? Because it's the same, it's status quo.
Yeah.
If the Democrats win, it plays into Trump's narrative that the vote is rigged, and the same people rigged it again. And how was it so close? And then all of a sudden at 11:30 p.m., all of a sudden 50,000 votes show up. That's exactly what happened to me, he'll say. If the Republicans win, then I think what Trump will put pressure on those on the Republican senators to it'll make them look worse for contesting the election, because wait a second. So you're telling us that these deep state forces threw the race for you against Trump in Georgia, but they won it for the Republicans? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And so, I think that's where we're going to be at. But Trump is going to weaponize it in any way he can. Who knows? It's going to be fascinating to watch Mike Pence up there, because he's really going to try and split the difference. I wouldn't put it past him to have like one of those situations where he's like telling his driver, like, I want you to fender bender on the way to the Senate. Cause we're going to have to get out. We're going to have to exchange like insurance cards, and then I won't be able to, I'll miss the vote. And I think that's what he desperately wants to do, frankly.
But is there any scenario where it's any more than just like a 2-hour delay? Like, is there any scenario where this extends into tomorrow night or even into Thursday? I can't really think of one. The counting of the ballots.
I get the sense that this is going to be resolved tonight.
Oh, sorry. I was unclear. I mean, the counting of the electoral ballots tomorrow. Is there any way that is any more than just 2 hours of debate in the House and Senate, and then they accept them and then we move on? Like, does that go beyond 4 p.m. tomorrow?
I think it depends on the margin of victory. I mean,
what time does the count start at 2? I mean, the 1?
Yeah.
And the thing about this is that,
we'll cover that live.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you say, Sam?
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
Right into the fun half.
Oh, fun.
So
that was unintentional.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow with that. I think, frankly, what's happening. I think what's happening tomorrow is going to be far more relevant in 4 years, or in 8 years, or even in 12 years, because what we're seeing. We were talking today, Emma and I were talking about.
We have a call. We have a call. Raphael Warnock defeats Senator Kelly Loeffler in Georgia's special Senate runoff.
Hold on. I want to make this call.
Wasserman.
Raphael Warnock. No. I'm calling it. Raphael Warnock is going to win, beat Kelly Loeffler. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did somebody else make a call too?
Let's call Wasserman.
You beat him to it, though.
Enough. Raphael Warnock defeats Kelly Loeffler. Wow, so that is 1. That's 1 of 2.
Nice work, Sam.
There's the shofar.
There's the shofar. Signaling the first call of the night.
L'chaim.
That feels good.
I'm pretty close to making the call on behalf of Asif too. I'm just going to wait till just a moment before Wasserman does. So, I mean, this is, Em and I were talking about what the implications would be in Kentucky, let's say, if you had a Charles Booker as opposed to Naaman McGrath as the candidate. And what it would do is it would begin to build an infrastructure that you might see pay off 4 years down the line, maybe 2 years down the line in some congressional districts, maybe 8 years down the line. The flip side of that is when you keep pushing the limits of norms, when you keep sliding closer and closer. I mean, let's be clear. To believe what is going on now with the Republican Party as being completely benign, you have to believe that they're only doing it, that there's only 12 senators who are voting to disregard the election results because they think it's impossible for Trump to win.
Right.
And that's the only reason why they're doing it. And that if Trump could actually win, that they wouldn't vote that way. Right. And I don't think that's the case. I think they're just going with what is politically expedient and valuable to them. And if they thought if Trump and Trump's chances are secondary to that, I think. And so I'm thinking 4 years down the line, they have set certain benchmarks. They have set certain standards, and they're creating enough space for future Republican senators to cast these same votes that they're voting, but it may be in a different type of situation. Maybe next time there'll be 24. Maybe the next time there'll be 34 or 54 senators who will vote this way. Because remember now, we have had now, what is it? I think it's 5 out of 6 elections, presidential elections, where Republicans have lost the popular vote.
Yep.
And so they're going to increasingly have to rely on the electoral college to win elections. And if they have the ability to short circuit that process, then they have the ability to basically negate any type of advantage Democrats have with the popular vote across the country. It becomes less and less irrelevant. And so I think it's very easy for people to underestimate the damage this is going to do in terms of the future. Like, you don't slide it. You don't become a failed state in the span of 2 years or 4 years.
Right.
You become a failed state in the span of 50 years or 60 years or 80 years.
Yep. And this applies to so many other things. People ask me, how do we undo the fact that 60% of Trump voters believed as of a couple of weeks ago that he was actually getting sworn in on January 20th. It's like it took that process started with the Reagan welfare queen stories 40 years ago. And it's unreasonable to expect that a process of radicalization that took 40 years to create might be undone because we get the right president or a better president. Best case, it's a decade of starting to undo that. And I think it's the exact same thing here. And there's people in my chat saying Sam is being cynical. Like, no, I don't think you're being overly cynical at all.
No,
I have every belief that at this point, there's really nothing that they wouldn't do if they think they could get away with it.
I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, I think I think it's very hard for the sake of it, normal people to sort of like grok this, right? Like, I mean, I think it's just very hard for normal people like your listeners, like our listeners, to sort of like contemplate that people could be have this level of disregard for, for what we take for granted in terms of the essence of our functioning society. Mm-hmm. But with that said, I mean, look across the country. You have states that are actively like discouraging vaccinations, right, and they're actively discouraging mask wearing, actively discouraging trying to avoid a pandemic. And that's also complete. I can't wrap my head around it, frankly. And so I think you really need to look at history and look at how you have the slide into authoritarianism and the failures of major societies. And this is the way it happens. It happens slowly, bit by bit, and it's really more of like a trend. Now, I'm not saying this is inevitable, but I think it's very possible that, because you can't predict that you're going to have a pandemic. You can't predict that you're going to have an attack that drops the tallest buildings in your country and collapses them within 4 hours and completely changes the way that society is structured. These are not things that can be predicted. But if you have, like an election that is really dubious, and then you have one of those things that happens, I'm talking about the 2000 election, you start to head down a certain path and a certain trajectory. And I think it's really problematic. And so while I think in the near term, this race tonight is going to have the most import, I think when we're 4 or 8 years out, 12 years out, 16 years out, I think what happens tomorrow may end up having more import.
Yeah, and the authoritarianism is a good example for the people who think that there's too much cynicism here. If you had been told a day after Trump was elected what he would do in the last month, very few people would have been like, yeah, that's sure, that there's a real risk that could happen. That doesn't sound plausible at all. But very slowly it all built up, the attacks on media and the ignoring of norms and the flouting of the checks and balances and all this stuff. And then look at what happened in December. It's insane. Nobody would have, very few people, even us who were maybe more concerned than some were about what a Trump presidency would be. Even we might have said, I don't know, that even sounds like maybe too much, but it just crept in very slowly. And then almost none of the stories that would have been 2-month scandals under Obama are still even being discussed today from like October.
Oh, yeah, of course. And, I think there's a tendency for people of our ilk, for lack of a better word, to sort of see Trump as an anomaly.
Right.
And to see what's happening as some type of like, blip or fluke. And if you step back and you look at this from a distance, it's not a fluke. It is, you know this from just the way that you track data on your channel. Put aside the whole bot thing,
of course.
But things happen with spikes, right?
Yep.
You get a spike and then it drops down to a normal, but it's a new normal. Right. And it's at a little bit higher rate than it was initially. And then it spikes again, and then it drops back down to a new normal, but that new normal is still higher than it was. And that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
We're Trump is a spike, but it brings us back down to a level of normal that is that is further along in a lot of things that are problematic, that, in terms of that sort of continuum of authoritarianism or, a kleptocracy. I had an interview today with her woman, Sarah Chase, who spent 10 years in Afghanistan, essentially studying the corruption of the Afghan government. I mean, she was there, I think, with an NGO. And at one point, 4 or 5 years ago, started to write a book about just broadly corruption. And she reckons that we are in a period like the Gilded Age, which from 1870 to roughly the 1930s, early 30s in this country, where things just became sort of incredibly kleptocratic. And it took two world wars, a pandemic, and a depression to create the social cohesion in this country that essentially wrested control from these economic elites to this, an oligarchy, a plutocracy, and to get the social cohesion that we ended up having in the 50s and the 60s. Now, again, I don't want to paint that era as something that it wasn't, because we were obviously excluding a huge portion of our population
civil rights,
in terms of civil rights and in terms of emancipation for women and for African Americans. But in terms of that dynamic, we are in one of those periods, and you're talking about a period of 60 years, right. And we may not have those massive sort of moments that create social cohesion in terms of like a world war, having your cities bombed. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden you have an outside force that is basically, we're all in this together type of situation. We had that after 9/11. It was very brief and it was fleeting. And then, the Republicans ended up leveraged it quite a bit.
Can I give a Georgia bit of an update though?
Sure.
Are we, is that a good time for me to jump in? I never know when.
Yeah. Do it.
There.
Yeah.
All right, good. So we saw Wasserman called it. No one else has called it yet. But Nate Cohn says Democrats remain heavily, of the New York Times, Democrats remain heavily favored despite their deficit in the tabulated vote. They're favored to win what's left by 9 to 10 points. The biggest source of the remaining vote, as we've said, is the in-person early voting in DeKalb, which alone could break to the Democrats by a 120K vote margin.
Wow.
And that would be decisive.
We clearly still have quite a night ahead of us. Two quick things, Sam, and then you'll let me go, I'll let you go. I don't know who has to let who go, but one is people in the chat want to know, are you on edibles right now?
Am I on edibles?
Yeah.
No.
You're not.
I
mean,
okay. I've had a little bit to drink, but not too much. Why?
And no, I don't know.
Does your chat have some sense that I regularly engage in edibles?
I have no idea. That's why it's sort of opaque to me. But and then the other thing is, any comments on now having surpassed the 1 million subscriber threshold? Like, does it feel different? Is it? I mean, like.
To be honest with you, the biggest the biggest change in my life is that whenever my daughter is on a group like FaceTime that she's got like these like party apps on her phone.
House party,
stuff like that. Her friends, they're all 15. They literally congratulate me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's funny you mentioned that because
that's been the only
Benjamin Dixon, our friend Benjamin Dixon, shortly before you hit the million, he said his son was impressed that he knew someone with 1 million subscribers. And so you have your kids. I have no kids, so I'm basically living through the enthusiasm of Ben Dixon's children, if you can imagine.
Yeah, I believe it. And let me ask you this, and I have a question from my chat.
Please.
My chat is asking, are you profiting by your super chat questions, answering them on me, and do I get a cut of those?
Oh, none of this was super chat. I haven't taken any super chats while we've been connected.
So he says.
They've been pouring in like from a fire hose. I just haven't been answering them while we've been talking.
Wow. All right. Well, we've been.
I'm going to need access to those super
chats. We're going to.
Was that Sam?
Now. Oh, here's the question I have for you. How do you don't you put your chat things in your window? How do you do that? Now you don't do your show based on you do your through OBS. Is that right?
I'm using Streamlabs OBS, but it's the same on OBS or Streamlabs. You can do it the same way. Basically, I have the super chats open on a monitor.
Wait, what is this Streamlabs? What is that?
OBS is open source. So the company Streamlabs has taken the platform of OBS and kind of like made their version of OBS. Yeah, but it's all the same. In either case, I'm using what's called a display capture. I'm just capturing a portion of the monitor and then placing it on the screen.
And do you use, are you a Mac-based show or a PC?
I don't even know how Apple computers work. We are completely PC-based.
That's the difference, right? Because OBS, it's easier to operate with PCs.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, it would be easier for me. I don't even know how to use an iPhone.
Now, is it weird that you didn't copy the fact that we're on Macs?
It is. And it's, in fact, I was thinking of copying the fact that you don't put super chats on screen, but I decided I just should do it.
Right. That must have been tough. Did you feel like you were out on a limb there?
Yeah, I didn't know if I could really depart from your platform that much, but it's working.
And of course, I should just tell everybody that I was wearing that sweater last week that you're wearing now, but that's all right. That's fine.
Not the same size, I assume.
No, yours would be a little bit tight in the arms for me.
And that's only because Sam is taller. I'm not saying he's heavy for people. He's just taller than me. That's all it is.
It would have been a little bit tougher to get the guns in there. David Packman, always a pleasure.
Likewise.
Thanks for stopping by. Well, let me ask you this question, because you like to come on. You always like to ask the questions. You like to do that. I know that, but I want to ask you a question. What are the implications if the Democrats take both these seats?
Well, depending on whether Joe Manchin is at all interested in the things Joe Biden wants to do, there's a chance of doing something by a mechanism other than executive order. Otherwise, it's just in the next 2 years, nothing that is unable to be done via executive order can be done unless Biden is willing to compromise so much that it becomes like a Pyrrhic victory. I don't understand how Biden gets his big agenda items done with a Republican Senate unless he compromises so much that it becomes a question as whether it's really a win in the net.
Right. Yeah, he's going to have to do, I think there's going to have to be executive actions. And I think they're going to have to just get one big reconciliation package in. Right. And they're going to have to really use COVID and throw a tremendous amount of resources at COVID, because I think if he is able, if he uses the Defense Production Act and gets 30 million, 40, 50 million doses out there by February or March, and I mean double doses. So I mean like actual vaccinations.
Yeah.
Yes, and if he can do that by, let's say, March 1st. And then subsequently, have a significant portion of the country, 50% of the population vaccinated by the beginning of the summer. I think he's got to be thinking about how does he get a bigger Senate majority in 2022. And there's a couple of opportunities. You have a couple of Republicans who are retiring, and you have some that are in trouble. And then of course you're going to have Donald Trump out there, who is going to be presumably, pounding on Republicans. So it's going to be interesting. But
one other thing on vaccines, this is really interesting. Today I interviewed Dr. Eric Topol, who's really, really good on this stuff. And we talked for a while. He said that the new study today says that the real rate of infection in the US is about 3.2x official. So like 20 million roughly is official. The belief now is like 62 to 64 million people have had the virus. He says one of the things that really would be great is if you can get a quick result antibody test. A lot of the people who are going to show up to get vaccines will have antibodies because they've had the virus. He believes they should be deferred, and that instantly accelerates vaccination 20%, because if 1 out of 5 has already had it and you skip over them, it's not don't ever give them a vaccine. If they have the antibodies for now, and they seem to last at least 9 months in most people, you immediately accelerate vaccination 20% just by saying, hey, go to the back of the line because you're actually protected right now. I don't know who can take that and actually make it a reality, but the 60 million number is actually very interesting because it means we could have like 17-18% of the population immune right now, at least for a time.
I'll tell you why I'm skeptical of something like that, because anything that's going to require the level of bureaucracy that you're talking about to make those assessments, it is far more, I think, I am of the mind that it is far more efficient to simply invoke the Defense Production Act, produce the hell out of these vaccines, both the Pfizer and the Moderna, and under the auspices of COVID, under the auspices of a reconciliation bill, you can sell this to the American public. You put 25,000, 50,000, maybe 75,000 people across the country, train them in this. There's already programs. We're seeing this in New York. There's already programs that county officials, essentially need to flick on a switch. They've had millions of dollars of training in terms of how to do mass vaccinations. And you just do everybody who shows up. Sure. You jab them in the arm. And you may be jabbing, there may be 5, 10, 20% of the people who theoretically, could last another couple of months. But I think you just do one thing, and you do that one thing, and you focus on that. And then you don't have to worry about issues of like creating a bureaucracy so that you're going to have administer tests, and then you're going to, issue them a new date to show up. Just, we're going to have so many vaccinations that we just want the line out the door, and boom, 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 boom.
Yep. Simple bureaucratically, no question about it.
Yep. So we'll see. But Dave Packman, stay healthy.
All right. Likewise. Yep. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, David.
Bye. All right. There we go.
That's not nearly as good as okay. Sorry.
I know he should zoom in. You want to preserve the air of mystique, right? So you can see his backdrop.
Yeah, his now look at that. Like on our, folks who were on the Packman show, they don't see actually what we could see. That's the thing, is we have a value add, because you can actually see the behind the scenes of Packman's thing. So if you're watching this, go back into Packman's chat and tell everybody there, like, you can go back, watch our show and see what's going on with Packman's set. It's far less impressive. What we reveal, we basically blew the lid off of Packman's whole operation. Covidio. Sam, you're freaking me out. You look like Max Headroom had been created by Stephen King. Please have another drink and pull back a little bit. Well, here's the problem. I'm not in a set. This is I could do this.
That's terrifying. Oh, it's the circular thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. See that? This is like, it's like Pi. It's like a Darren Aronofsky move right there.
Wow.
Whoa,
so Dave Wasserman was fact checked by Twitter.
What does that mean?
Multiple sources may not have called the race when this was tweeted.
Yeah, that's fair and balanced. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So Twitter itself, not commenters.
Yeah.
But Twitter, the company basically said, "Hey, wait a second. He doesn't know what he's talking about."
Yeah.
They're saying that you went on David Pakman's show, called the race on his own channel, and made a huge alpha play for the night.
Yeah.
Right.
Purdue's opened up a lead. That lead has gotten a little bit more significant, frankly. 70,000 with 81% in, but we'll see.
I mean, they're the right. I mean, and Loeffler's up too, but
Teacher Lauren.
This is the red mirage that we were talking about.
Yep. Second among Teacher Lauren says second among us, and I'd absolutely join the game. So there she goes. And good news upstate, a local school district is partnering with the County Department of Health for community vaccine distribution. I think Cuomo is going to have to reverse himself on the hospitals. I think there's a lot of pressure now on that. Saul Rosenberg, Steve Bannon's podcast is a real winner if you want to be on the pulse of the Stop the Steal. He has a cheesy, stupid theme about CCP. Smells like Teen Spirit. All right, I'm not sure what a lot of that was. Candida, what will Joe Manchin do if it's a tie in the Senate? Well, it actually, the sequencing is different. The vice president doesn't come in until it's a tie. But Joe Manchin will hold out for stuff. And what will happen is West Virginia will get some goodies, hopefully. And hopefully there'll be goodies that actually reach people as opposed to Joe Manchin's, corporate benefactors.
Hopefully he's doing a lot of work there.
Ronald J. Bateman, speaking of 5G injection, did you see that some idiots released a schematic supposedly showing the 5G breakdown of the COVID vaccine? Only it's not. It was the schematic for the Boss Metal Zone guitar pedal. Love you guys.
No,
I will tell you this.
Hilarious.
This is, it's really disturbing. I can tell you that so my mother is requiring a certain amount of care, of home care right now. And we are trying to convince her, the people that come in and take care of her to get vaccinations. And they're nurses. Or they're home care, I don't know exactly what degrees they have, but they work at, like an assisted living facility as well. And they are terrified of getting the vaccine. And they are under the impression that it does not prevent other people from getting infection. And there is a real, this misinformation that is out there. It's stunning. I mean, you assume that all healthcare workers are, have access to this type of information, but it's a fascinating, really disturbing dynamic. I mean, we've got some real deep problems in this country, and I don't. That was apropos of nothing except for just that misinformation, I guess. Doug Peterson just hacked the Dominion voting machines. Stop the count. Fly, Eagles, fly. Grave booby. For a fake credit card number, use privacy.com. It generates artificial credit cards that you can set a limit on and tie them to a specific vendor so they can't be stolen. Oh, that's good.
That's pretty cool.
I'm doing that. I'm going to keep it in my wallet.
So I have one thing I want to bring up as a maybe a bit of wishful thinking, but say Ossoff pulls it out, just going down the path a little bit further here, and Democrats get control of the Senate. Does Mitch McConnell finish his term that he was just reelected to?
Sure.
As minority leader?
Oh,
well,
sure.
I guess there's
election
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's heavily favored towards Democrats, hopefully. So.
Well,
all right.
I think heavily favored is an overstatement.
I would agree.
Generally, the party in power loses seats.
Yeah.
The in the absence of that dynamic, I would say it is Democrats are favored, but it's not. I mean, hanging in there for another 2 years. If I was McConnell, I would do that. Yeah. I mean, I would be surprised if McConnell wouldn't hang in until the next president.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Dianne Feinstein has hung on. What's Mitch McConnell going to go do? You know what I mean? He doesn't need cash.
Spend time with his family.
Right. I mean, honestly, what's he going to do? He's going to stay there. They're going to have to wheel him out of there, as far as I can tell.
I'm not sure how long his hand makes it, though.
That's a good point. Cucker Tolson. Sam, I think you used to advertise for a credit card that let you set up multiple online fake numbers you use online. You can set the spending date. Yeah, I just did that. All right. Cucker Tolson. The Florida 2000 election is not what 538 is named after. It's the total number of votes in the Electoral College. I listened to their podcast. They were saying they wouldn't be renaming it if DC or PR got statehood because they already have too much brand recognition. The total electoral votes are based on a formula of the total House members and senators in each state. Okay.
That's an actual conversation they had about their own brand?
Sure. Emma, make it happen. Give me your Super Bowl picks.
Oh, well, I think whoever comes out of that, there's only 2 teams that can win the Super Bowl, I think. Well, there's 3. The Packers, the Chiefs, and the Bills. That's it. Drew Brees is done, guys. He can't throw. I mean, I hate to tell you, and you can't win with 2 weeks to prepare in the Super Bowl with a guy who has to do all his time throws and they're only max 20 yards down the field. And they're going to be in Tampa, so it's outside. So I think it's just Drew. I bet the Packers are the representatives from the NFC. I don't see anyone beating them up in Green Bay, but I do think the Bills could beat the Chiefs the way they're playing right now in Kansas City. So it's either the Chiefs or the Bills. I'd put smart monies on the Chiefs, but I think the Bills could actually win it this year for sure.
Binks. Oh, there it is. Same thing. Privacy.com. I'm going to do that. Tal. Still plan on running a libertarian campaign in the future? It's not out of the question. Lantor. How fast does Manchin swap parties? I don't think Manchin would swap party. I don't think, I just don't, I don't see why he would do that, frankly. I think, although I mean, I can see the point. Maybe it's not inconceivable, but I don't know. I would find that a little bit hard to believe. I don't think he's quite there. I don't think he needs to. He's been given pretty good goodies. He's sitting on the energy committee for the Democrats. And I think that, that's what he cares about. Miller's Revenge, privacy.com, burner card. Yeah. Wow. Everybody seems to be on that. Old man racist. Please call me old man praxis now. Comrade Nancy found me in the bread line. All right. There we go. Depressed Canadian. Terrifying developing story out of Egypt. An entire ICU ward died after the oxygen supply failed. The case is spiking here and not stopping. The probability of catastrophic failure in hospitals become more likely. Oy. Sorry to hear that. That does sound horrible. Josh from Chicago. Warnock and Ossoff are Trubisky level good in that Jacksonville game right now. I thought the smart, moderate, independent guy Sam had on said we shouldn't run a black guy in the South. We all know Breeze will choke against the Bears.
I mean,
Who was it that said that?
Paul Rakoff.
Said what? That Warnock was not going to win?
He said running. He was referring to Charles Booker. He said in that it's hard to run a black person in the general or statewide election in the South. To be fair, this is the first black person to be elected to the Senate from the South since Reconstruction.
Second black person.
Tim Scott, yeah. Well, he was also appointed before he was reelected.
That's true.
New York Times now has Warnock at 90% likelihood. And
how is that possible? How's that possible? He's losing and he's going to win.
Yeah.
Still an election. Robbie Sauls. So John King said this is mostly early voting. Are we actually getting bad news here?
No.
Cancel Puerto Rico's debt. Is DC becoming a state already off the table? I don't know about that. I don't know what you need to actually do that. If it's just something that can be statutory, or if you need to have a filibuster proof, I don't know.
All right.
I feel like Manchin was sort of open to that, but I don't know if a 51 vote would do that. I'm not sure. Cuddly Cudlow. Privacy.com is a David Pakman Show sponsor. You let him on your show for too long and these IMs must be his bots.
Wow.
Damn. Carrie Arkey, I second the previous comment. Loving the late night grunge hangout. There you go. Space Lennon, is Matt a Cubs fan? Sonics. I ask because I also go to Seattle sports with the exception of the Cubs due to the grandpa from Chicago. Anyway, you're all cool. Go Seahawks. I don't think Matt is, but Ryan from Michigan. What's the biggest win we'll get this term if we do win both seats in Georgia? Anything to get excited about? Like I say, I think it's going to be Georgia, and I think it's going to be, Georgia. I think it's going to be judges, and I think it's going to be maybe one big bite at the apple at the beginning in terms of the stimulus and dealing with COVID. But I would say beyond that, it is going to be just an open field in terms of trying to pressure Biden to do stuff by executive action. And that is different from executive order. Let's be clear here. There are already laws on the books that Joe Biden can simply decide to implement. And you can go to the day one agenda to check those out. The idea is not necessarily that things are going to be done on day one, but rather there are powers that Biden has on day one.
Can I read a data journalist from The Economist? I don't know if this is the best source, but they're calling both races for John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock.
Well,
this
guy, not bad. Rockdale County, according to the New York Times, is the largest thus far to report its completed vote counting. The results there, Democrats are outperforming their November numbers by about 4 percentage points. That's pretty significant. DeKalb is now 37% in. Geez, we got a lot of IMs. Folks, you can IM the show. I haven't said this, and we may very well have listeners that we don't, or viewers that we don't generally have. You can IM the show by picking up the Majority app at majorityapp.com and then IM the show.
If you guys see me looking down like this, I'm just furiously checking updates on
Jeff.
Sorry, Steve Kornacki is saying that DeKalb County is expecting a quote significant release of votes before 11, which means we could get something a lot more clear.
All right. Well, we're not going to go past 11. I know I said maybe we'll do like an hour.
Yeah, I know. So what do you think?
2 hours and 20 minutes.
What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, we'll wrap this up. What, like by 11? Fine. Is that too late?
No, I mean,
Emma doesn't care.
I don't care.
She's like she'll go all night. I mean, Jeff from Atlanta. It's pronounced DeKalb County.
Sorry.
All right.
DeKalb. That's my New York spin on it.
Kyle's mad. What do you think is going to happen at the Chud rally in D.C. tomorrow if Loeffler and Perdue both lose? They're going to be able to push their, the vote was stolen. Joer 138, Lawyer Matthew is going to stop the steal. Sam secretly likes Obama. Pacman sells cryptocurrency. No good, man. Sells cryptocurrency? Like out of the back of a van? Thelonious monk fruit. Ty Cobb, the Georgia peach. Also a notorious racist. Ugh. Gulfstream 2. I get those phone calls too. They started after I began donating to political races about a year ago, best I can figure. Jay Chavone. Sam, does ExpressVPN block Honey from gathering all your browser information? That's a good question. It may. So that's the idea. You layer these things on. Shabs just became a member. Thanks for all you're doing, and I hope things are better in 2020. Left is best. You're going to get one of these jobbies. Oh, shoot. I got to come up with I got to get like a little soundboard on my phone. There you go.
Does Pacman have that?
No. Wine Cave Messiah. Time to run a train on McConnell. Count those votes. I don't know what that means. Coach McGurk. Proud Boy shit is heating up in D.C. right now. Big roided up guy yelling F Antifa wearing armor going to get someone killed. Jesus. Oh, great.
Stuff I love to hear.
Drizzle of salt. No way 538 had that conversation. D.C. already has 3 electors, just no senators or representatives. There's a lot of controversy about that. Cool Steve. Chances of Dems getting rid of the filibuster if they take control. Otherwise, they still can't pass anything, correct? I don't think I think Joe Manchin already said he's not going to get rid of the filibuster, didn't he? He was less non-committal about statehood for DC, but I don't know how you do that. Emma, pick a number. New character. Emma should be Loeffler for the next 4 years. Ossoff 2024.
Pick a number?
No, that's just the name.
Oh, I was
MR
about to
Plywood.
say. Nothing of importance. Go on.
The question is, who would want to vote for Robot Barbie in her $10 million house? Has Harry Reid offered to come on the show? Ideologically weak, but a scrapper. I've had opportunity to get the Harry Reid.
Former staffer will be on next week, right?
Oh yeah, Gentleson, right?
Yeah.
Have folks seen the picture of Harry Reid fake punching me and me looking like I've just been punched? That was from 15 years ago, but he didn't execute it that well, to be honest with you. He went like this, and I went as if he had just punched me.
Oh.
So he really needed to have like
a follow through.
Yeah. Cool Antifa. Let's see. Oh, wow. Had a neo-Nazi coworker back in 2017. Early 2018 said he was a huge fan of Jimmy Dore. Said he liked him because he told the truth about Democrats. This is back in 2018. Weird. Maybe not so weird. What are the odds Biden gets impeached if Republicans take the House in 2022? Oh, that's a good question. I don't think it's impossible to imagine, but my sense is that, there was a narrative that allowed for the impeachment of Donald Trump, that, Donald Trump really earned impeachment. Yeah. And I think you really do need to earn it for it to not hurt you politically.
I mean, like Clinton didn't earn it, and it helped him politically in the long term.
Yeah.
He could have earned it for other things.
Militant apathy, decab, not decalb. All right, fair enough. Hey, we have a decalb here too.
Yeah, and it probably came first, so
Yeah,
it's probably true, right?
Just cool.
Just because you guys mispronounce things in Gorgia. Blamey Klobuchar. Data points really promising right now. I'm feeling way more optimistic than I thought was possible. I'm still concerned that it starts to tighten. Warnock will win and Ossoff will just fall short. Now, this he wrote at 840, so that was a long time ago.
I mean, now New York Times Needle has it at 78% Ossoff. And I know, Needle's been wrong in the past, but I just want you guys to recognize that there's a lot more votes coming in. I mean, again, Fulton County, 97% reporting, but then you have DeKalb County, only 42% reporting, and other areas around Atlanta. So,
Emily, where is Ronald Reagan? Thanks for an awesome show tonight. That's a good question. Where is Ronald Reagan? You better not be in Pacman's chat. Let's see. Caboose is loose. 538 is the Electoral College total votes. Sam, when you were close, you said it's the House plus the. You were close when you said it's the House plus the Senate. That's 435 plus 100, which is 535. The 3 is the DC, which only gets counted as the state for presidential elections. Ah, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Congressional Apple Cart fan. Hi, Sam. I'm considering launching a line of apple-scented hygiene products, though I'm a bit concerned about creating a product with one customer in mind. Well, I mean, there's a lot of latitude there because you got a bunch of different apple scents that you could use. Emma's 3 fantasy sports leagues. Hey, guys, wanted to let you know that Gwinnett County new elect Sheriff Kibo Taylor canceled 287 gram program, which county joined in 287G, which the county joined in 2009. Is that 287G? Is that the ICE essentially program? Ooh. Kate from Arizona. It's a huge comfort to listen to you guys right now. Thank you for the work you do. I still like being able to laugh while also staying informed. All right. Well, I guess everybody has their own tastes. Nancy, second fridge. I didn't think anything would be decided tonight, so I just tuned in for some background while playing AC Valhalla, but now I want to stay up refreshing Twitter. That's what we do. What's Kornacki saying right now?
Right now. Not on right now. It's Hayes and Rachel.
All right, there we go. Triangle Bill. Hi, Sam and Emma. Happy New Year. I love you guys so much. Thank you for your work. This show is the best. Sam, what's the latest on the Proud Boys leader guy that was arrested yesterday? If you corrected the systemic racist voter suppression, bet Warnock and Ossoff would both be crushing it, winning overwhelmingly. I haven't heard the latest on the Proud Boy guy, and it is really stunning because there has been a concerted effort to disenfranchise tens of thousands of people, if not, hundreds of thousands. And it really is pretty amazing what they've been able to do in Georgia.
So New York Times Jeremy Peters is saying Fox News is reporting now on an issue that Republicans have been concerned about since November. The vote in rural Georgia tonight seems soft because the Trump base is depressed. And that could be a huge factor.
There you go.
That's amazing.
Asif Foudini, that special you guys did on TMBS this week to discuss Michael's comedy was the best thing ever. Thank you so much. That was very, very fun to do. Just watching those clips that I hadn't even remembered. And that was really fun to do. It was a little bit sad, but it was also really fun. Chardonnay Socialist, have a bourbon and hunker down. I've also called both races for Warnock and Ossoff. That was 2 hours ago. That was pretty good. AJ Gooseneck, AOC and squad positions on oversight and reform committees. Apparently that's what they got from Pelosi. Can you explain what this means? Thanks, MR Crew. I mean, these are as far as I know that they were on these committees already, and I think they got reappointed. I'm not sure. They may be other committees. I don't know. These are not, as far as I know, these are not committees that through which major legislation has to pass. It gives them the opportunity to regulate things like finance and provide regulation, so you can curb the excesses and you can shape the way that certain industries do things, and there may be an opportunity for like some antitrust come out of there as well. But as far as like the legislation like Green New Deal and whatnot, I don't know that passes through that committee. The big thing was the pay-go. That was what they leveraged. Getting rid of the pay-go, which sets a precedent. That's a precedent that's not going to change after Pelosi leaves.
Yep.
Joe Snuffy. Hey, Sam and Emma and crew. It's great to be able to share this fun experience with you all while I'm welding at the shipyard. My fears of what the future will bring is massaged by your calm demeanors and rational optimism. Certain that inside you're emotional wrecks like the rest of us, but you're all doing an excellent job maintaining the act, and we thank you for it. This is like my therapy. I mean, this is the way that if I wasn't doing this, then I would be a mess like you, and I would not. DeKalb is pronounced DeKalb. DeKalb like a masshole. Okay, fair enough, says Church Satanica. Kentucky Fried Comrade. Hey, MR Cruz, wondering if you can give any advice for an aspiring shill. I joined DSA, but apparently MSNBC was not impressed.
Yeah, well, you didn't get your marching orders from them first, so.
Did you check with them before you joined? Right. Which chapter you joined? Wisco Gravy. To hold Emma to account and give you guys interest in her jock hobbies. If her fantasy football league, if she takes last place the following Halloween, she would have to come into work with a full avatar makeup and learn how to say left is best in the language from that movie. This is known as a hilarious Sacco punishment.
Yeah, what are your punishments in your league?
I don't have punishments. And wow. I've never come in last. So but I will say, you know what I was thinking about the other day is that in the fall I should start a Majority Report league with some of the viewers.
Oh, that's smart.
So people would want, if I don't know if anyone would want to do that, but I'd be so down. It could be fun. So
very cool. My friends had some pretty good punishments in their league. One was the loser had to sign up and take the SAT as like a 24-year-old, and the other one was the loser had to go see a Kids Bop concert by themselves. A live Kids Bop concert.
That's hilarious.
Sean M. My thought has been that none of Biden, Pelosi, or Schumer actually want to see the Senate flip due to heightened pressure to effectuate change. Is that dumb, short-sighted? I don't think conceptually that idea is necessarily wrong. Like, I think they would be very nervous about a big majority because that would put more pressure on them. But I think 50-50. I think there is broad acceptance that is going to create a logjam, but for things like cabinet positions, judicial. From the perspective of Chuck Schumer, I think he's pretty happy to be able to, keep his members happy to have them be committee chairs. So I don't think conceptually what you're talking about, but I think in this instance, it's going to be tight enough that they're going to still have that plausible sort of like deniability when it comes to sort of pushing anything. It was interesting. I have a buddy who's a mortgage broker, and he said that he expects rates to go up, mortgage rates to go up if the Democrats win here. And the reason is because there's going to be a lot of money. There's going to be, they're going to spend and they're going to have a stimulus, and that's going to make treasuries a less desired commodity, treasury bills, and therefore they'll raise interest rates on them. Liz Santos. Fox saying the Dems have a slim lead. 7 is not slim. They're worried. That's at 848, though. Sam Seder OnlyFans. What's the most economically left policy we can expect in the first 100 days if they pull out Georgia? Probably shouldn't expect anything more than those 2,000 checks. Is that right? No, I actually think that, I don't think that, I think you might see like an expansion of, I'm not 100% sure what you can do through reconciliation. If you can basically benchmark extended unemployment benefits to the unemployment rate. If that's possible through reconciliation, I would imagine they would do something like that. Bucko. Republicans need a big lead at the end of the night to offset Dem advantage in the mail-in votes, right? 9/11. That's, well, I think a lot of those votes are already counted. Richard Linden. Hey, Sam, a happy new year to you and the crew. If these two Senate races go blue, how can we mitigate Joe Manchin's influence over future votes? Also, my daughter thinks Hugo should be nicer to Bob. Forget it. That's not happening. We've talked about Manchin. Socialist Bear. It's Macon County, as in bacon. God.
What did we say?
Mackin? I don't know.
No way. There's no way.
Of course not. Kevin M. People did say Trump would try and become a dictator. I don't think he's trying to become a dictator as much as he's basically just trying to steal an election. Sam's Tinder profile. Hey, girl, swipe right. No peach stuff. I don't know what that means.
Is that an Apple joke?
I don't know. Have Robert Stevenson. Will Kamala, as president of the Senate, play any role being allegedly more progressive than Biden, or will she follow marching orders? She's going to come in and cast a vote in favor of what Democratic proposals are. I think like if she functions like other vice presidents, I think she's going to do what her boss says. That's basically what vice presidents do. They also try and at least posture in such a way to set up for the next election, which I think she will also do.
Okay, this is the same guy. That's The Economist. But right now, New York Times Needle is projecting Warnock wins by 2 and Ossoff wins by 1. That would basically be the exact prediction by pollsters. So you remove Trump from the equation. Pollsters have a better understanding.
Hey, 88% in. Ossoff is down by 2 points more.
People are pretty confident.
Okay. Matt in town. Hey, Sam, let Jeff in. Let him give live coverage. I don't know what that means. Oh, Jeff from Georgia? Well, let me go down. Whoa, we got a lot of IMs here. Champagne Communista. Hey, Samantha, do you think Biden will do 2K monthly if Dems win the Senate? 2K monthly? No. I think they'll do a one-off. Lily Loopy, I'm glad you managed to see enough to call the race before that Pac-Man joker. Nice work. Thank you, Lily Loopy. Missouri leftist. Do you think Trump will face any consequences for his tampering phone call? Also, so happy Emma's on the show. I always look forward for her pieces when she was on TYT. Fantastic addition.
Thank you.
Joe Buck yourself. That IMer who tried to explain 538 couldn't have had that conversation was wrong. DC statehood would add 2 senators, thereby increasing the number of electors to 540, 271 to win next time. The IMer correctly stated that DC's congressional House seats are already counted for in the number of electors, but not the senators. Interesting. Axtimus. I keep seeing people say Budget Committee Chairman Bernie Sanders. What are the implications of this? He's banking committee. If I'm not mistaken, it's banking. So, I mean, he's going to have oversight in terms of, bringing people in and, sort of regulatory function over the banks. Or oversight, I guess we should say. Brain dead Adore. Since it looks like the Dems will get control of the Senate, does this mean Bernie will be chairman of the budget committee? It's not budget committee, correct? It's banking.
I think it's budget.
I don't think
the mic is not near me. I think it's budget.
Are you sure about that?
I'm
is?
like 90% sure.
Bear with me, folks.
Budget. He's the ranking member.
He's a ranking member on budget?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's good. I mean, it means that he's able to put bills on the floor, whether they will get anywhere, but he seems to have I don't know. I guess it really sort of, we'll see what he can do in terms of Manchin. Matter. Should Emma say anything shocking in the next 30 minutes, Sam, you should turn around in your chair and virtually express yourself directly to her.
Fuck.
Am I facing this way? Is Emma that way?
Oh.
No.
I'm gonna. All right.
Stage right.
Those are in traditional places. Sam's just looking away at his computer.
So is that Emma right there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, Emma. Sorry.
You guys could high five,
Right. Ah.
So where are we at?
We're not getting anywhere, I think, in a little while.
Yeah, I don't think the next tranche is supposed to drop for another 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. DeKalb again. Let's see. I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow. Nate Sudfeld. Sorry, Emma, I tried. I don't know what that means.
He's the Eagles quarterback.
Oh, I see. Giant Milacita. Emma, are you missing interviewing Trump supporters outside of rallies?
No.
No?
I like that got a lot of success, and that people really like those videos. I will say that I felt like a lot of guilt about putting regular people on blast like that. I mean, they're not regular people. I get it. They're Trump supporters, but I just had I like making fun of people in the public eye and politicians. And even though I tried to be serious and straight faced with the Trump supporters and ask them legitimate questions, the end result often was people making fun of it. And so that made me feel bad, not to be a downer.
No, that's good for you. I did one of those 9/12 rallies.
Mm-hmm.
What's his face? Glenn Beck. And I enjoyed getting footage that, I was fair, but there was a lot of people who talked themselves into a corner.
Yeah, I was fair too. And but they wouldn't have said this to the world if I didn't, ask them. So.
Yes, they would have.
Maybe.
If somebody else had asked them. I mean, but yes, I understand what you're saying. Richard Oakes, it's pronounced Titicaca. Oh, gosh. It's getting late, folks.
Isn't that
Pac-Man, Pac-Man gave up, by the way.
Wow.
We're beating him right now. So
he stopped?
Yeah, we have more viewers at this point.
Did we get all of Pac-Man's viewers? I guess not. Where did they go? He should have thrown them to us. Force the Steel Project Veritas' latest sting uncovers that a homeless shelter advocacy group allows residents' clients to use their address on voter registration and alleges it's fraudulent. Their argument, I guess, is that homeless shouldn't be able to vote. I mean, that's probably not too distinct from their argument, right? I mean, that's what they're property owners.
Yeah.
Promo code Johnny88. Tell Emma I want to marry her and she can wear the plaid instead of a dress.
Well, we're not getting married, but thank you.
It's I think that was, you didn't even have to say that. I think that was pretty clear. Two things. Clinton definitely earned chlamydia, and apparently Pence told Trump he can't overturn the election. As a parent, how much of a tantrum do you think the president is throwing right now?
I don't think he cares that much about Georgia.
No.
If it doesn't directly involve him.
Jay Cool. Hey, MR, I'm watching Canada beat the U.S. for the gold in hockey and listening to your election coverage over the commentary.
That's not happening. U.S. is up 2-0 right now, baby. Let's go.
Oh,
the game will go for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. In the juniors?
World Juniors.
Yeah.
I'm going to get another soda. Excuse me for 1 second.
That's great.
Emma, do you want to vamp at this time?
Well, I mean, I got to walk home, so I just don't want to get, knifed, and then that's on your conscience.
Emma, do you remember the first day you joined MR and it was a 13-hour show?
I do. I do remember that, yeah. I actually
You're
did.
forged in the flames of, you're already forged, but you're strengthened in the MR gauntlet.
Yeah.
Sam on the shows like these reminds me of the few times I played video games. I beat Red Dead Redemption over the break, and that was a really fun little thing because I don't play video games very much.
Right.
But I would play until 2 a.m, and I would just be completely burnt out at the end. But I'd get a momentum while I did it, and I'd be like, "Why would I play that video game so much?" And that's a little bit like what Sam does when he broadcasts these special events.
Yeah, and again, they're fun. But I don't think we're gonna see much tonight. Wow, I can't believe USA's up.
Yeah, Brendan, all that's missing is the surge you'd be drinking if you experience surge, the energy drink, the original.
Oh no!
So Ossoff is outperforming Biden and Fulton, but by just a little bit. Purdue is outperforming Trump by a little bit too. That Jorgensen vote went to Purdue. Do you want to put Kanaki up there for a second?
All right, I will take this opportunity then to because I'm going to walk home, Sam. So
okay,
that fine?
You're gonna yes. Emma, thank you for your work tonight. We will see you tomorrow.
Yes, I'll see you tomorrow.
Hopefully we'll have good news.
Yes, I know. I don't. Oh wait, what's he saying here? All right, no, I gotta go. All right, I will.
What you're seeing here,
talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Emma.
Bye.
Later.
I'm guessing that they learned from November that it's better to not call these races because you'll get people to watch longer.
Right.
Why bother? Why call it?
Oh, that you don't want to get
Mackey's worth.
You can't get owned, Brendan.
In fact, you're seeing. I have the marker selected. And in fact, you're seeing Warnock exceed it, by a full point. You saw that. We're still waiting on Cobb County. We saw split ticket voting in Cobb County, but Cobb County, Fulton County, Gwinnett County, there are a few others, but that is where you saw the most split ticket voting, and that's why one of the big questions for me coming into this election tonight, for the Democrats was: is it the Biden? Are Democrats getting the Biden number in a Fulton County, or are they getting the Ossoff number? It seems like a trivial difference, 72.6 and 69.7. It seems like a very trivial difference. But I think that was one of the biggest reasons that Biden won Georgia in November and Ossoff was short of Purdue in the vote count back in November. That 3-point difference in Fulton County added up to a big difference in the vote count. And what you're seeing here is Democrats are ahead of that Biden number. So they're not lagging it. They're actually doing a little bit better than
that's good
in this vote count tonight. So that is, at the start of the night, that's why I was stressing this Biden number. If Democrats could get a point or so above that in Fulton County, that'd be a very, very good sign for them. And potentially, we got to look much closer at this, but potentially, it raises a question. Those split ticket voters, the folks who turned out back in November and said, I don't like Donald Trump, but I don't want to vote for the Democrats for the Senate. I'm going to vote for the Republicans for the Senate. Those voters existed. They existed in the Fulton County suburbs back in November. Did they look at the last 2 months? Did they look at Trump's behavior? You could come up with your own theory here. It just raises the possibility that they took the measure of the last 2 months and said, well, I can't vote against Trump. He's not on the ballot, but I can vote against his party. I can vote against the candidates he's endorsing. Did those split-ticket voters just vote Democratic in Fulton County, in the Atlanta suburbs?
Mathematically, it's also just a really good reminder that we're watching these little wiggles on either side of the Biden standard from November. And in small, relatively unpopulated counties, it doesn't mean that much if it's a point or a tenth of a point one way or the other. But when you're talking about a county that's got hundreds of thousands of voters, you get these Senate candidates outpacing Biden by a point or a tenth of a point or 2/10 of a point, and it's tens of thousands of votes.
It adds up. You got
potentially determinative. Lawrence O'Donnell, our colleague, wants to jump in here. Lawrence, did you want to ask Steve a thing?
Yeah, Steve, there's a mystery number that's been up on the board all night that we're all staring at and trying to figure out, and that is what explains the maybe 30,000 vote difference between Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff. Why is Reverend Warnock outpolling John Ossoff? Who goes into that voting booth and votes for only one of the Democrats?
It's a great question, and we came into the night with all sorts of theories about if you see it, where would you see it? Was there a geographic explanation? But I mean, I'm just picking a county at random here, a hugely Republican county. Warnock gets 21.3% in Jackson County. Ossoff gets 20. This is just uniform. It's across the board. It's not specific geographically. It's not that there's a core, Warnock vote in one place and it's just not there for us. If we're just seeing consistently,
Purdue's a slightly better candidate than Loeffler.
Just seeing it across the state. I mean, is it about Ossoff and Warnock? Is it about Perdue and Loeffler? Is Perdue a more appealing candidate to a certain slice of voters?
All this is stuff I told Kornacki to say.
To get a few more votes than Loeffler is. Should we be looking at it that way? Should we be looking
also,
at
at least Perdue was elected.
But I think the thing
right. I mean, obviously, that's a big part of it.
I think we first flagged it, when it was about 30% of the vote in statewide. It's been the story. Almost every county we've been looking at. If you've been following along, if you're watching, you see this every time we click on one of these counties. 27.3 in Harris County for Ossoff. 27 point. That's one of the smaller ones. 27.5, 2/10 of 1 point. But Warnock has just been running consistently ahead of him. It seems across the board.
In terms of the relative performance of Warnock and Ossoff, is it look to you, broadly speaking, that they are both either matching or outpacing Biden? It's just that Warnock is doing so by more?
Yes.
Or are they on opposite sides of the Biden standard?
Yeah, I mean, so let's take a look. Fulton County, we can revisit right here. And again, my producer was telling me in the last few minutes there are a few precincts we're not quite sure this is all the vote in Fulton County. It's very, very close. But again, the Biden standard 72-6. Warnock comfortably above that at this point with this much vote in 1
It's interesting too because Loeffler is even doing better than Trump. Perdue is doing worse.
72.9 in Fulton and 73.7 in Fulton, almost a full point in a county that's 10% of the state. Yeah, that can add up. A margin here for Warnock of 205,000 votes, a margin for Ossoff of 198,000. That's a difference of 7,000 votes between them in that county. So, I think we see in the Atlanta metro area, let's see if we can pull up another one here. Clayton County, look, Ossoff is above the Biden number in Clayton County, 88.4. Warnock's only 1/10 of a point above him there. Warnock, a 1/10 of a point above. They're both above the Biden number there. I think the Democrats have been getting numbers out of the Atlanta metro area that they wanted to see. These numbers so far that they've been seeing are right where you would think.
I'll tell you what's really sort of fascinating about this is
we showed you a number of these small rural counties with large black populations. We were seeing Democrats 2-3.
The real question, put down the sound here. I mean, the real question is, and of course, we need to wait and see. But let's just for the moment assume that Warnock and Ossoff pull it off. I mean. You really have to ask because this is not the same result the first time they ran, right? I mean, you look across the country in these type of races and other places in the country, the Democrats lost. Even in Georgia, the Democrats lost. They got less votes. Warnock got actually, I think, a little bit more, but Loeffler split her votes with Collins. And so you have to ask what has changed. And there's only two things. One is that perhaps Donald Trump depressed some Republican vote, although these are very hard things to measure, right? I mean, maybe some exit polling will tell you this, but then you also have to ask, like, did the $2,000, and I've been harping on this quite a bit, but it's such a stark, tangible, binary proposition. When Joe Biden goes there and says, you vote these guys, you're getting a $2,000 check. You don't vote these guys, you're not getting a $2,000 check. I mean, talk about a very simple, plain message. That could be it. It also could be, you've got that extra 132,000. Maybe there's more, I would imagine, 123,000, but that was from a couple of days ago. I would imagine you could see up to like 150, 170,000 people who voted, which is a fairly significant number, considering how Biden won that state by 10, 20,000 votes. That's a significant number if the vast majority of those ended up voting Democrat that basically decided to vote after not having voted in the general election. I mean, it's that to me indicates sort of and we need to know more about those voters, but it indicates to me that the idea that Georgia was winnable was surprising to some people. And when you think you can win something, sometimes it motivates on the margins to get people involved. Apparently, there's a large batch of decab votes coming soon. Decab, not decalb, but decab. I don't know what constitutes a large amount of votes. I don't know what that is. Well, DeKalb County has 42% in, and there's already a couple 100,000 in there. So, I mean, there's almost 150,000. So, and that's 42%. So do the math. I mean, you're going to get over 300,000, 325,000 votes maybe in DeKalb County. So, and the Democrats are winning by 70%. So, I mean, if you just double that, you're talking about like another 100,000 votes just coming into DeKalb County, probably for each the Democrat, 100,000 net. That in and of itself is going to basically make the races completely equal. I mean, completely tied. So, I mean, look, this looks pretty good for the Democrats. I'm very hesitant to so I've got the YouTube page up, and I'm just looking at Jimmy Dore's latest video is Jank and TYT smear Assange and side with, I can't even say see what it is, but that's pretty funny. And then also coincidentally, there's one from Aubrey Plaza. Wasn't she the woman in guys, wasn't she in the Matthew Film Guys movie?
Yes, she was a star.
Yeah, I did you watch it? I watched it.
I did. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I thought it was really great.
One of those movies where I thought about it the next morning, kind of like involuntarily, right?
Exactly. That to me is a very good indicator of a good sign.
He also did a Rogue Commentary episode podcast with the director where they discussed the movie. So that just came out.
Oh, interesting. Mazer with 91% in and 3.94 million votes counted already. The last 9% is about 390,000 votes. So, and I think it's going to be really close. It's going to be close, but I wonder what automatic recount it would be. Brendan, can you look that up? No. Devoid reality. Hey guys, at work again tonight. Last night listened to TMBP number 8 with the boys. My luck, MR tonight. Life is good. Thank you. That's a nice thing to to say. It's a nice feeling that you can, people enjoy listening. Hi, Sam. New subscriber. Been a listener since 2019. Michael Brooks did a lot to talk me off the Sam Harris path. Thanks for everything you all continue to do. Left is best. Thank you. Much appreciated. Jer McLean. Trump base is depressed. Boo-hoo. Indeed. Rob G. If there's a unified Dem government, do you think we will start to see a change in the framing of politics to more class-based instead of narrow right-left social politics framing we always get? My theory has always been that the best foil, if you are of the left, if you are interested in a more class-based politics, the best foil you want is a democratic president in office. And that was one of my big arguments as to why, among other things, I wanted Hillary Clinton as opposed to Donald Trump. From the perspective of growing the left, I think the left gets stronger, frankly, under a Democratic president, and which is not to say that it's not apples and oranges, but or I should say it's not apples to apples comparison, because I think also a big part of this is also generational, and I think millennials are more apt to be further left than the generation that preceded them. But I guess my argument would be, and this is a counterfactual, I don't know how you prove this, but had Hillary Clinton been the president for the past 4 years, and there was not a concern about getting a revanchist court and a retrograde court, but instead the argument was the court is not moving far enough to the left, that the court that Clinton is appointing corporatists. That would have strengthened, I think, the left more. I mean, than we see now. It just, that was my experience under the Bush administration versus the Obama administration. And again, a big part of that I think was generational, but and a big part of that was also like in the shadow of 9/11. But that that's the dynamic. It's that, what is going to be, where's the argument going to, the biggest argument be? And, it's that concept of the Overton window. When you have a right-wing president, the Overton window shifts to the right. And when you have a centrist president, let's say, or you want to say a center right or a center left or a centrist or whatever, like Joe Biden, then the center, the fulcrum of the argument, the Overton window, moves to the left. Because at least that's the grounds in which we would be arguing, right? I mean, and I think in terms of what's also going on generational, like this dynamic, I think is going to be good for the left. I think the left is going to build. I think there's going to be frustration with Biden, but that frustration comes from expectation, and you wouldn't have those expectations for Donald Trump, but you do have them for Joe Biden, and I think that's going to be helpful in terms of building a left in this country. So it's there's still going to be cultural politics, and there's still going to be you're going to hear social arguments. That's still all going to exist, but there's going to be more room for an intra, center right, if you want to say, or just a centrist left argument. And the stakes are going to be such that people are going to be able to sort of demand more. Even if there is an inability of the Democrats to push for legislation, there's just a broader awareness that Joe Biden has at his disposal the opportunity to do stuff, not necessarily unilaterally, but with existing laws. So, and I think that's, we'll find out. Maybe that's not the case, but I do believe that is.
So apparently there's 170,000 outstanding votes potentially in DeKalb. I don't know if those are going to be all
in DeKalb, right now. And I think my guess was that the Democrats were going to net 100,000 of those votes. If they're winning by, what is it? Well, like 50% at least, right? Wasn't it like 75% to 25%? So if they're up 50% and you've got 100 and whatever it is, 50,000 extant, they're going to net 100,000 votes, right?
They're up 64% in DeKalb for Warnock and 63%.
63 percentage points. I mean, so what's 63% of 150?
They've counted the total votes that they've counted so far in DeKalb County is 140,000. So there's more than half remaining. There's 42% in.
Okay, so there's, let's say, approximately 160,000 votes, and if they maintain this 63% lead, right? So 160,000,
90,000 votes, yeah.
Right, and that's that's a 90,000 vote net. Yeah. 100,000. That's not bad. I was pretty close for someone who doesn't really know math. I'm pretty impressed with myself about that.
And sorry, it's DeKalb, right? We're saying it right now. DeKalb.
Don't start with me, Kyle. Is it DeKalb?
I think it's DeKalb.
As opposed to DeKalb?
Yes.
Well, I say DeKalb because it's named after a guy named DeKalb. I don't care what they say in Georgia. Weren't we supposed to get a big chunk of votes in by now? It's 11:06.
Yeah, they've got Loeffler and Perdue up, but obviously there's outstanding votes in DeKalb County.
DeKalb.
Yeah. And that's the last big one. Then Henry and Chatham.
So let's put it this way. Okay, so it's Ossoff is up 114,000 votes to 26,000 votes. Just double that because you're at 42%. Just double it for the sake of argument. So you're talking about 230,000 votes versus 50,000 votes, right? I mean, so you're basically talking, like another 90,000, but then you assume the other 8%. So they're going to net another 100,000 votes should be out of DeKalb County. So you can basically add whatever the general number is. Ossoff is at 1944 and Perdue's at 2063. You can add 100,000 to Ossoff, and he's within 15,000 of Perdue. And then the question is there other places to make that up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, the needle keeps inching towards Ossoff.
And Warnock, same deal. You add 100,000 to Warnock, and then all of a sudden he's 15,000 ahead of Loeffler. So, and that's 92% in. And there's 2 million, 4 million, 92%. Someone figure out what 10% of that is 400,000. So there's about 300 and I don't know, like you guys said, I think 320,000, 340,000 votes left. If it just depends where the rest of those votes are in terms of both, particularly of Ossoff. But it's going to be close. I mean, I think if Warnock pulls it out, I think he's going to win by 20,000 votes, maybe 25,000. And if Ossoff pulls it off, I think he's going to win by 10,000.
A win's a win.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really just a question of how long will the recounts take place? But
I guess that might affect seating. whoever, how long could that go on? A couple weeks?
Sure. I mean, Al Franken wasn't sat until, if I remember correctly, June of 2009.
Oof.
Maybe even in July.
What was that margin? That was less than 1,000, right? That was.
Oh my God! I think it was hundreds.
Right.
I don't remember the specific numbers, but well, guys, gals, we've got to do a show, and I promised Brendan a 12.5 hour turnaround until he has to be on camera again. Of course, he's got to be up in 4 hours to get all the prep going for the production. He's got to build the sets. We make him strike the sets and build the sets every day. So we're going to have to wrap this up. Kyle, Brendan, you guys have been big sports. This was supposed to last an hour, and it has gone slightly over that. 3 hours and 10 minutes. But only 2 hours and 10 minutes over the original number. So this is a pretty good day for us. 6 hours worth of radio coverage.
And you did call it. I mean, we have the tape of it. You called Warnock.
I called both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, as far I've seen enough.
You saw enough 2 hours ago.
I really did.
He saw enough, but he wanted to see more because, that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, exactly. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us tomorrow for the show. Subscribe. If you are not a subscriber on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. I don't know where it is relative to, do we even put it up? We've got to get a little more aggressive about this, guys. Yeah. Okay. So subscribe. And thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow. Are you going to play music?
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking